Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Got Harem with Hana and Her Mother, Tsume, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. These bloody eyes of mine. It was the 1st of September and the first day of the academy for the year for all of those ninja hopefuls. Everyone smiled and laughed with their families as their mothers cried and fathers smiled at their sons, and the reverse with their daughters. In the woods surrounding the academy a single blue eye watched all of this happen with sadness in it. An elderly voice broke the holder of that blue eye out of his depression with the words, "Are you coming, Naruto-kun? Class will start soon." The blue eye broke itself away from the loving sight to look at what appeared to be a feeble old man in red and white robes, his pipe hanging from his slightly upturned lips. The possessor of the blue eye couldn't help but smile and say, "I'm coming, Ojiazan." The blue eye stepped out of the shadows of the woods to show a small boy around the age of 8 with golden hair, one eye wrapped in what would appear to be a black bandana and the other a cerulean blue. He was dressed in blue shorts and a white shirt with an orange spiral on the back of it, but the most striking thing about the boy was that on each of his cheeks were 3 indentions that looked like whiskers. The elderly man walked with the child up towards the academy and couldn't help but take notice of the cold looks the occupants of the crowd gave the small child. He also noticed how the small child seemed to shrug them off as if it was an everyday occurrence. With Naruto-kun it may very well be. Naruto watched all of those around him give him the usual icy stare out of his peripheral vision and couldn't help but think, so it's the same here as well. Naruto threw of his mask of smiles on and pressed on with his Ojiazan. Naruto was brought out of his musing by the sound of a light barking and a yell of, "Get back here." Looking behind him, Naruto saw a kid about his age chasing after a small puppy. The kid had a feral look to him with his wild hair, long canines and wild eyes. Naruto looked at where the pup was headed and cut it off. Kneeling down, Naruto scooped up the puppy before it could get too far away. Running up to the kid, Naruto handed him the puppy and smiled. The kid smiled back and said, "Thanks for catching him. Akamaru can get a little excited sometimes. I'm Inuzuka Kiba, by the way." Naruto smiled at the newly named Kiba and said, "It's no problem, I'm happy to help. I hope we can be friends. Oh, my Gigi is calling for me, so I better so see you in class, Kiba-san." Kiba smiled at the blonde boy and with Akamaru in his arms ran back towards his family. Upon reaching where his family was standing, Kiba said, "Ka-san, Hana, you'll never guess what happened. I just made my first friend." Inuzuka Tsume smiled down at her son and said, "That great pup, so where is this little friend of yours?" Kiba turned around and started looking for Naruto but couldn't find him. Turning back towards his mother, Kiba said, "He must already be in class. He said his Gigi was calling him." Hana snorted and said, "Yeah right, I bet you didn't even meet anyone." Kiba glared at Hana and said, "Hey, I met someone and he's my friend." Hana smirked at her younger brother and said, "Oh really? Well then why don't you bring him back to the estate after school and then we'll see who's right." Kiba turned towards his mother waiting for an answer if he could. Tsume smiled at her son and said, "I think it's a great idea. I would also like to meet this little friend of yours." Kiba let out a whoop and said, "All right, we'll be right home after school, I promise." Tsume couldn't help but smile as her son rushed into the academy with a huge smile threatening to split his face into 2 pieces. Naruto sat at the back of the classroom talking animatedly with his new friend Kiba. The two sat most of the class talking about a variety of things from ramen to pranks and found out the two had a lot in common. The class ended around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and this is when Kiba approached Naruto with his little problem. "Hey Naruto, wait up, will you?" Naruto stopped his trek towards the woods and turned to face Kiba. Kiba ran up to Naruto's side and said, "Hey man, I was just wondering if you would like to go over my clan estate for lunch today." Naruto smiled at Kiba and said, "Sure, I'd love to." Kiba smiled and shot off into the woods, Naruto right on his trail. Kiba landed right outside of the estate a good 30 minutes later with Naruto right behind, not even out of breath. Kiba turned towards Naruto with a smile and said, "Man, how do you have so much stamina, my kami?" Naruto chuckled and answered with a simple practice. Shaking his head, Kiba turned and opened the clan house door. Stepping inside with Naruto right on his tail, Kiba yelled, "Mom, I'm home and I brought a friend." Kiba heard a distant yell of, "No way," and couldn't help but chuckle at his sister's dismay. Kiba smiled as he saw his mom and sister walk into the room and said, "Mom, Hana, I'd like you to meet my friend Naruto. Naruto, this is my mom and sister Hana." Tsume stared down at the young blonde-haired boy with disgust. Why did it have to be him? Naruto stared into Tsume's very familiar golden eyes that held such hatred for him. Naruto unconsciously took a step back when he heard an even more familiar growl come from behind her. Breaking his eyes towards the growl, Naruto saw Tsume's companion Kuromaru. Naruto stared into the feral golden eye of his and shuddered. Kuromaru let out a growl so low only Naruto could hear it and said, "What are you doing in my den, fox demon?" Without breaking eye contact with the two and completely ignoring Hana, Naruto said, "Kiba, I've got to go." Kiba, confused by the sudden turn of events, asked, "Why, you said you would have lunch with us?" Naruto turned his head but not his eyes, gave Kiba a small apologetic smile and said, "I suddenly remembered that I have to help Gigi with sorting out some files, so I'll see you at school tomorrow, okay?" And with that he was off out of the house and off of the Inuzuka estate in less than 1 minute. The next day at the academy, Naruto sat in the back of the class alone listening to the teacher lecture about what chakra is and how it works. Naruto looked down a couple rows to see Kiba sitting next to the Aburame child. Kiba had come in this morning with his arm in a cast covered in bruises and had both of his eyes blackened. He passed by Naruto as if he weren't even there and refused to speak to him even when Naruto tried. Naruto couldn't help but sigh at this and think, "I should have known this would happen. I can't have friends. Isn't that what the lady at the orphanage said when she kicked me out? I should have known better." After class ended, Naruto shot out the door and towards the Hokage tower. Climbing in through the window of his Gigi's office, Naruto stared at the pile of papers the Hokage was working on. The elderly man looked up from his work to see Naruto sitting on the floor under his window waiting to be noticed. Smiling at the boy, Sarutobi asked, "Naruto-kun, what brings you here so early? You know I can't bring you to get ramen until later." Naruto gave a soft smile to the old man that had always been there for him and said, "I'm not after ramen this time, Gigi. I wish to withdraw from the academy." Now this worried the old monkey. Looking at the young orphan, he asked, "Now why would you want to do that? I thought you wanted to be Hokage and the only way to do that is to be a ninja, Naruto-kun." Naruto gave Sarutobi a sad smile and said, "I still wish to be a ninja, I just don't want to attend the academy." Sarutobi was about to go into a lecture when Naruto said, "And don't try and say that the only way to be a ninja is to go through the academy, because I know damn well it isn't." Sarutobi raised an eyebrow at this. Naruto, seeing his confusion, said, "Do you remember when I was 4 and you were teaching me to read?" Sarutobi nodded at this. Naruto smirked and said, "Do you also remember when I got into your secret stash and started to read your book and how you took it away and replaced it with a scroll from your desk?" Again Sarutobi nodded, this time with a blush. "Well, that scroll just happened to be a letter to one Mr. Hyuga Hiyashi about not having to put his youngest daughter into a school full of ruffians, as he called it, explaining ways that she could become a ninja without having to participate in the academy. One way is for the person to just pass the academy exam, another, however, is if that the person can prove to the Hokage themselves that they are ready in body and mind enough to be a ninja. Those who take and pass the second option are awarded the title of Tokubetsu, special genin, in whatever subject the Hokage deems suitable. Now then, you were going to say, Gigi. Sarutobi sighed at the boy's persistence and said, "I don't agree with this decision, Naruto-kun. I mean, what about all of the friends you could make if I pulled you out now? Then you wouldn't have any social interaction with others." At this Naruto snorted and said, "Gigi, let me tell you a little story." And with that he relayed what had happened yesterday and earlier this morning in very fine detail. Looking at the old man knowing his point had been made, Naruto smiled when he heard him say, "Fine, I'll pull you out of the academy, but whatever you are going to study must be ran by me first, understood?" Naruto smiled at that and said, "Hi Gigi, can we get started now or do I have to wait?" Sarutobi looked at the young boy and said, "Aren't you a little tired after having been in the academy all day?" Receiving a negative as a response, the Hokage signaled him to go. Naruto smiled and said, "Well Gigi, before I decide, could you tell me a little bit about each of them?" Sarutobi smiled at the thought that he wasn't like everyone else wanting to just fire off area jutsu after area jutsu and hope to hit something. Smiling, Sarutobi said, "Okay, let's start with taijutsu, then genjutsu, after that ninjutsu, then kenjutsu, and finally funinjutsu." Taijutsu. Taijutsu is the hand-to-hand fighting technique ninja use. Taijutsu can cause internal and/or external damage. The most notable styles in Konoha are the Hyuga's Juken, gentle fist, and the Uchiha's Setsujuken, intercepting fist, styles of taijutsu. Genjutsu. Genjutsu is the ability to use chakra to control an enemy's nervous system and change anything that has to do with the five senses. The most notable genjutsu around Konoha is the Nadime's Kokuangyo, bringer of darkness technique. Ninjutsu. Ninjutsu is the ability to use chakra to attack an enemy. The most common way of doing this would be to convert the chakra inside of the body into an element and using that element to attack the enemy. The most notable ninjutsu around Konoha is the Yondaime's Rasengan, spiraling sphere, and Hitaki Kakashi's Reikiri, lightning edge. Kenjutsu. Kenjutsu is the use of swords or other usually bladed weapons in a fight. Weapons can range from kunai and shuriken to katanas and sometimes custom weapons. The most notable kenjutsu around Konoha is Gekko Hayate's Mikazuki no Mai, dance of the crescent moon technique. Funinjutsu. Funinjutsu is the ability to use chakra and an inscription written usually in blood to seal something away. Whether that thing be a sword into a scroll or chakra into a weapon or even a demon into a huma. Naruto stared at his Gigi, wondering why he got quiet. Raising his eyebrow at him, Naruto asked, "What was that last part, Gigi?" Looking up at Naruto, the elderly man sighed and said, "Nothing, Naruto-kun, nothing." Naruto gave the man a slightly hurt look. "Please don't lie to me, Gigi, I've been lied to enough in my life." Those words almost brought a tear to the old man's eye. "Naruto, I haven't been entirely truthful with you." This small statement alone seemed to quirk Naruto's interest immensely. "What do you mean, Gigi?" Naruto asked, giving the old man a pointed look. "Naruto, please, you have to understand what I am about to tell you is considered an SS class secret and should not be told to anyone. Do I make myself clear?" Naruto nodded at that and listened with rapt attention. Sarutobi folded his fingers in front of his face and started. "Naruto, do you remember last year when you asked about the Yondaime and the Kyuubi and I told you how he killed it by sacrificing his own life in the process? Well, that was all a lie. Yes, the Yondaime sacrificed himself to get rid of the Kyuubi, however it was far too powerful to be killed. Instead, the Yondaime took his only son and sacrificed himself to seal the Kyuubi into this newborn child's chakra coils. The Yondaime asked for this child to be seen as a hero, however only a few saw him as that. That child now has blonde hair and one cerulean blue eye. That child is you, Naruto." Naruto sat in silence as all of this information seemed to wash over him. Naruto looked at the older man and asked, What about my mother?" Sarutobi couldn't look at the blonde when he was asked that. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but your mother thought like most of the village, I'm afraid. She took your sister and left here saying she wouldn't raise a demon. She plans to train your sister." Sarutobi couldn't go on. Naruto chuckled slightly. "To kill me, right? You don't need to say it. So I'm a demon. My mother didn't even want me. I'll show them all. If they want a demon, they'll get one. No, I couldn't do that. This place is still my home. I'll use this power. I'll defend them. I'll make all of Konoha's enemies tremble. I'll make them fear the darkness they've created." Sarutobi looked on, worried that his surrogate grandson had snapped. Naruto looked up into his surrogate grandfather and said, Gigi, teach me more about Kenjutsu, Ninjutsu, and Funinjutsu. Sarutobi looked at Naruto little worried but complied. Well, I really can't teach you much in Kenjutsu seeing as I only know how to use a staff, but if you could find a man by the name of Gekko Hayate, he may be able to help you more than anything. With ninjutsu, I would have to say ask my son Asuma for that. And I can help you with funinjutsu right here in the office if you are prepared to do a lot of reading. Naruto smiled and asked. Now where would I find Gekko-san? The Hokage smiled and said. Usually around this time you can find him training ground 5 training himself with his sword. And he was right because when Naruto appeared at the training ground he saw a thin pale man with a katana in his hand. Naruto watched, as the man seemed to split into 4 different pieces, each one going a different way before he disappeared completely. Naruto was curious about where the man went until he felt cold steel being pressed against his neck and a sickly voice say, "Why were you watching me?" Naruto took a deep breath and said, "I wish for you to train me in the art of Kenjutsu." The man coughed, making the sword inch closer to Naruto's neck. The man withdrew his sword and placed it in his scabbard and said, "Scram, I don't have time to train a kid." Now this pissed Naruto off. Turning around to face him, Naruto yelled, "Now why the hell not?" When Hayate saw his face he couldn't help stare at the bandana wrapped around the kid's eye. Looking at his only good eye, Hayate asked, "What happened to your eye, kid?" Naruto ducked his head and said, "I was attacked last year on my birthday. I was too slow to get away and too weak to fight back. The beating lasted for 3 hours, but the only serious wound I received was the loss of my eye." Hayate gave Naruto a quick once-over and said, "So do you have any preferences on which weapon you want to use?" Naruto smiled and said, "I have an idea, but it's very weird and you would probably think it's stupid." Hayate cocked his eyebrow and said, "Kid, when you have been in the biz as long as me, nothing is weird, so tell me, what do you got?" Naruto smiles and says, "Well, I was thinking." As Naruto began to explain what he wanted in a weapon, a smile came to Hayate's face. After a very long discussion with Hayate about his weapon of choice, Naruto was on his way to the Sarutobi estate to talk to one Sarutobi Asuma. Walking around to the back of the estate, Naruto saw a man around the age of 26 laying on his back with a cigarette sticking out of his mouth. The man cocked his head towards Naruto and said, "Hey kid, about time you got here. Pops said you'd be coming." Naruto approached the man, staying on his guard the whole time though. Asuma smirked at the kid, reached into his kunai pouch, making Naruto's muscles tighten, ready to move at any time, only to pull out a piece of paper. Handing the paper to Naruto, Asuma said, "I want you to channel chakra into this paper." Looking up at Asuma, Naruto reluctantly did so, only for the paper to split in half and the 2 halves burst into flames. Looking up confused at Asuma, Naruto asked, "Okay, what the hell was that?" Asuma smiled and said, "That was to tell me your chakra affinity. It seems that you have a strong wind and fire affinity, so kid, what type of jutsu are you looking to learn?" Naruto smiled and said, "Well, I'd like." As Naruto continued to explain what he wished to do with his jutsu, Asuma smiled and thought, "This kid is going to be the best, no doubt about it." 5 years later, Hokage Tower. Sarutobi stared at the blonde-haired boy in front of him. "I know you don't want a team, Naruto-kun, but it is mandatory for all genin, even Tokubetsu genin, to be on a team. You know this," Sarutobi said while rubbing his temples. Naruto chuckled and threw a file on Sarutobi's desk. "That's bullshit, Gigi, and you know it. In the files that I found, it says that a genin doesn't need to be placed on a team if he shows exceptional strength and talent." Naruto responded, making Sarutobi grit his teeth. "Naruto, do I even want to know how you got this information?" Sarutobi asked, glaring at the single blue eye visible through the darkness. Naruto chuckled at the older man's anger. "Same way I get all my information, Gigi." That response alone seemed to aggravate Sarutobi. "Naruto, you can't go around getting information like this. I mean, you stole from our ANBU department, in broad daylight." Naruto chuckled at the old man's exasperations. "Aren't you the one who told me that information is worth more than gold in the ninja world, Gigi?" I just happen to like to mine for it, and besides, how many times has my information helped you? Naruto said, making Sarutobi sigh. That's not the point, Naruto, you can't go around doing stuff like this. Sarutobi admonished, making Naruto roll his eye. Fine, so I'm to assume that I'm not getting out of this whole team thing, am I? Sarutobi shook his head at those words. Naruto sighed and started walking towards the door. Oh, and Naruto-kun. Naruto cocked his head back as he heard the old monk's voice. Sarutobi smiled and held up the file Naruto threw on his desk containing the information he got. Keep up the good work. Sarutobi said, drawing a chuckle from the boy. Yes, sir. With that, Naruto walked out of the old monk's office and left for the academy. Academy classroom. This was it, February 16th, the last day of the academy, the day the teams were to be announced. One feral-looking boy was almost bouncing in his seat with excitement. The boy had on a gray zip-up sweater with a small white dog poking its head out of the top right under the boy's chin. The boy had long wild brown hair and two red fang-like marks running down his face. Needless to say, Kiba was excited, hoping to be with Hinata, a shy girl with short blue hair, a large coat, and white eyes, and Shino, a calm boy with spiked black hair, wearing a large high-collared trench coat and sunglasses, his two best friends. Inuzuka walked to the front of the class and said, Okay, today is team assignments, and as I can see you are all eager to begin, I'll just go ahead and get started. Team 1. After about 15 minutes of listening to names that weren't his and hearing girls complain about not being with Sasuke, it finally came. Team 10. Inuzuka Kiba, Abarum Shino, and Special Genin Kemari Naruto, your sensei will be here to pick you up, so please wait patiently. Inuzuka was about to walk out of the room when a very loud voice said, Who the fuck is Kemari Naruto? Inuzuka turned to look out over the classroom and said, Huh, so it seems he didn't show strange. At those words a whisper like a wisp of smoke went throughout the room. No, I've been here all along, Inuzuka-san. Inuzuka turned towards his desk to see a man sitting in his chair, his feet kicked up onto Inuzuka's desk. The man had blonde hair and his forehead protector tilted over his left eye. The man was wearing a black GI vest with gray lining and black denim pants with many pockets. On his forearms were two solid black bracers with gray seals inscribed on them, the same with two shin guards that ended into low-top combat boots. On his hand were two black gloves with what appeared to be a seal in each of the palms. The most notable thing about the monk's clothing, however, was the metal mask that covered the bottom part of his face, with the middle looking like a fanged mouth with the symbol for smoke, Yan, written in the middle of it. Naruto looked out at his teammates and said, I have a feeling we are all going to be leaving today with a giant headache. And again his voice came out as if it was a wisp of smoke just passing through, quiet, but everyone knew what was said. Naruto's assumption came true as the door to the classroom came flying off of its hinges and directly at him. Through the door walked one Inuzuka Tsume, a feral-looking woman with wild and slightly spiky brown hair. Golden eyes with slit-like pupils, she was wearing a long-sleeved turtleneck shirt and Junin vest. She also wore loose-fitting pants that were taped off at the end and stopping at her feet, where she wore black ninja sandals. On her face she had the same fang markings as Kiba, and Inuzuka Hana, a softer-looking woman than her mother with straight brown hair pulled up into a ponytail, and round pupils. She was wearing a brown sleeveless shirt with it unzipped slightly, showing a slight amount of cleavage. She also wore tight shorts that ended about mid-thigh. On her left hand was a wrist brace and her right was wrapped in bandages on her bicep and forearm. On her face were the same makings as Kiba and Tsume. Kiba looked up at his mother and yelled, What the hell are you doing here, and why did you send a door at my teammate? Tsume gave a feral smile to her son and said, But I'm your sensei from now on, pup, aren't you so happy? Oh, and your teammate is fine. Her voice grew cold at the second part, with her spitting the word teammate as if it were poison. Kiba looked over at where the door crashed to see Naruto lying on top of it like a bed with his right leg folded and his arms behind his head. Tsume smiled at Kiba and Shino and said, All right team, meet me on the roof. And with that both her and Hana disappeared. Kiba and Shino stood up and started walking towards the door only to realize that they were the only two. Looking back to tell Naruto to hurry up, Kiba was surprised to see that he was already gone. Tsume watched as both her son and Shino walked out onto the roof. Telling them to sit, Tsume said, "Alright, how about start with introductions?" Kiba looked around and then said, Mom, shouldn't we wait for Naruto to get here? I mean, we are all part of Team 10. Tsume glared at her son. If I had my way, you wouldn't be on a team with that worthless sack of shit, so to not put him in the same category as you do, I make myself clear, pup. She growled, slightly scaring Kiba. Before Kiba could respond, a light wispy voice spoke. Dully noted, Inuzuka-sama. Tsume turned to her left to see Naruto's masked face lying in the shadows of the roof in the same position he was in earlier. Kiba looked over in surprise and yelled, "When the hell did you get here?" Naruto slowly turned his eye away from the clouds above and said, "Before you did, I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't notice me. All well, at least we have two competent genin. Who knows, maybe after a little training from your mommy you may be able to survive AD rank by yourself, pup." Kiba growled at the boy and lunged at him only to get a mouth full of smoke and ash. Kiba heard a chuckle coming from behind him. He turned around to see Naruto walk up the stairs as if he had just gotten there. Naruto raised his eyebrow at the coughing Inuzuka and said, "You know, attacking a clone of any type is a bad idea if you want to win a fight." Kiba glared and asked while trying to clear his lungs, "What the hell was was that cough?" Naruto chuckled and said, "That was my Haijutsu. Kemari Bunshin, or smoke clone if you will. And you had better get used to that smell or buy a mask, Kiba-san, because with your sensitive nose and my jutsu we aren't going to get along well at all." Everyone watched in surprise as Naruto stiffened and then disappeared in a wisp of smoke. They then heard a low growl unfamiliar to all present. Everyone jumped off of the roof and sprinted towards the growl. What they found when they arrived was Naruto surrounded by what looked to be 5 wolves. The leader of the wolves was a large gray wolf with a single black front paw. The wolf had a single scar going up from his jaw and down his neck. The most noticeable thing, however, was the fact that the wolf had a considerably shorter tail than its 4 counterparts. Naruto stood crouched over what looked to be an injured animal in a defensive stance. Naruto looked out at the Rouge wolves and growled, "I thought I told you to leave this place, Fenrir, or else you will lose more than half a tail." Everyone watched as the newly named Fenrir growled back in perfect English, "Move, Kemari, this has nothing to do with you, so move and you may be able to keep your other eye." At this, Naruto growled and said, "You're not only in my territory, you also seem to be trying to rape the animals in it as well. I say that warrants me being involved, don't you think, Fenrir?" Fenrir growled and said, "This is the strongest female around and I need strong pups to beat that bastard. Hell, you should be on my side, Kemari, after what he did to you. Why do you fight me?" 1 minute Naruto was crouched over the animal, the next he had Fenrir by the throat pinned to the ground. "I told you once, I'm well above revenge. If I wasn't, you wouldn't be walking away from this little scrap alive. Do I make myself clear, Fenrir?" Naruto asked, only getting a RGOWL in response. Naruto stood and turned his back on Fenrir. Walking towards the injured animal, Naruto heard a familiar voice chuckle. "Still weak, I see, Fenrir. Maybe I should finish what the fox started." Everyone watched Naruto let a kunai fly from his hand and into the underbrush, making something jump out from it. Everyone was surprised when they saw that it was Kuromaru that had been the one to speak. Naruto looked over at the old dog and said, "I may not be helping him kill you, Kuromaru, however I'm not about to let some pack war get drug into my territory. Do I make myself clear or do I have to finish it before it starts?" Kuromaru and Fenrir both growled at the boy but complied. Fenrir glared at Kuromaru, called his small pack over, and they hurriedly rushed out of the area. Hana watched the interaction between the three with great interest, but when it was all over, Hana looked at the injured animal and gasped, "Gedokuyuku." At this, everyone else from the Inuzuka family gasped and rushed towards the injured animal. Shino watched with rapt attention when the Inuzuka trio knocked Naruto away from the injured dog to heal it when he himself was doing just that. Naruto watched as Hana tried veterinary jutsu after veterinary jutsu trying to heal her dog, and all of them failing. Hana was in a panic. None of it's working. Damn it, why isn't it working? Tsume and Kiba watched as the life left Gedokuyuku's eyes. Tsume knelt down and pulled her daughter into a hug, shielding her from facing the truth. Naruto watched as the Inuzukas cried for the loss of a family member and made his decision. Walking towards the dog, he was intercepted by Kiba. Don't even think of touching her, Kemari, you have done enough as it is. Naruto walked past Kiba only to have his arm gripped. Kiba was about to attack Naruto when he felt a sudden drop in his chakra reserves. Looking down, he saw that half of his body was now covered in Shino's bugs and they were only multiplying. Naruto smiled at the bug user and broke Kiba's hold on him. Kneeling down next to the fallen Gedokuyuku, Naruto did the one thing the Hokage forbade him to do. He lifted his forehead protector to reveal a solid green ball chakra with a blue center. If anyone was to look, they would notice that the chakra was spinning. The ball looked as if the chakra spun in multiple directions in a dangerous and hypnotic fashion. Focusing all of his chakra into the eye, Naruto felt that he could feel it as the claws dug into his skin. He could feel the bite marks left by the four trying to hold the dog down. He could feel the pressure of a jaw on his throat. Even through all this pain, Naruto watched as the life came back into Gedokuyuku's eyes. Naruto fell over onto his butt, all out of energy after he finished. Leaning forward, Naruto shook the dog awake and watched the Inuzuka trio rush towards their newly healed pack member. So excited were they about her being healed, no one seemed to notice the blood pouring from Naruto's eye. Reaching a hand up and lowering his forehead protector, Naruto thought, "They are going to be the death of me, these bloody eyes of mine." Naruto sat on top of the fourth's head, pondering what happened back there at the training ground. Why did I save her? She is not of my pack. Hell, she's practically an enemy, so why did I save her when it cost me so much? Naruto looked out over the village as it got bathed in the glow of the setting sun and thought, it was worth it. The next day we find our young hero sitting in the shade of a large oak watching the sun pass overhead in the clear blue sky as he waited for his so-called team. Hearing a slight humming sound, Naruto looked up to acknowledge Shino's presence and then continued his sky watching. After about 5 minutes of them both sitting in silence, Shino asked, "Why do you hide, Kemari?" Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at that. "Why do you?" was the only reply Shino got, and then they both fell into silence again. After about 10 more minutes of waiting, both Shino and Naruto looked up to see the entire Inuzuka trio with their partners walking into the training grounds. Tsume and Hana stopped on one side of the training ground opposite of Naruto and stared, watching what he would do. Naruto sat there watching as his senseis gave him scrupulous looks. "If you're both done, I believe we have a test to take," Naruto said with a snort. Tsume glared hard at the boy and growled. Naruto gave off a slight chuckle at her growl, only to stop as he felt a presence start to approach him. Looking around for it, Naruto stopped at the sight of one of Hana's familiars slowly walking towards him. Hana stared in amazement as Gedokuyuku walked away from her and towards Naruto. Gedokuyuku stopped halfway to Naruto at the sound of a guttural voice. "I'd suggest you not walk any closer, Inuzuka vermin, lest you lose your throat." Gedokuyuku took a step back at those words and started looking for the voice. Everyone in the clearing got into a defensive position and Tsume yelled, "Who are you?" The voice gave out a low, threatening growl. "You are not in any position to be making demands, Inuzuka. Now step away from master and you may be able to walk out of this forest alive." Tsume was about to respond to the voice when she heard a light, wispy voice chuckle. "All right, you've had your fun, now stop scaring my team, Enmaku." Everyone watched as a red blur seemed to appear in the middle of the clearing, showing what most would assume to be a fox. However, this fox was different. The fox stood about the size of a small horse. His fur was a blood red except for his underbelly and front right paw, which were a stark white, where his tail should have been made out of cartilage and fur. This one seemed to just be made of tangible smoke. The most striking thing about this fox, however, were the two cerulean blue eyes that were glaring daggers at everyone in the clearing and looks of confusion at Naruto. But sir, these are Inuzuka scum, why are you allowing them near you? Enmaku asked curiously. Naruto chuckled at the young fox before him and said, because if we were to behave like you are now we wouldn't be much better than they are, so calm down, they won't hurt us, especially with Gigi watching us. His words seemed to calm Enmaku down, but infuriate three members of his team. How dare you act as if you're better than us, you worthless sack of fox shit, I should tear out that other eye of yours for saying that. Tsume yelled with fury showing in her golden eyes. Shino watched as some of the light left Naruto's eyes and filed that away for later. Naruto stared into the rage-filled eyes of the Inuzuka patriarch and said, I see. With that he stood up, turned his back towards his team and started walking towards the woods. Naruto was about to break into the tree line when what stopped him appeared to be a solid wall of red fur. Cocking his head to the side to meet the cerulean eyes of his friend. Move, Enmaku. Enmaku shuddered at his master's words but did not move. I cannot allow that, sir. You promised the old man that you would at least give this team a try, and I cannot allow you to break that promise. Naruto's eye hardened into ice at those words. Give a team a try that would rather slit my throat in my sleep than help me achieve my dream, fine. Naruto turned away from Enmaku after his words and walked towards his previous spot. Flopping down onto his back again, Naruto looked out over his team and mentally sighed. I get the feeling that I'm going to die before I reach Chunin with this team. Hana watched the young mask-wearing boy as he flopped back onto his butt and thought. Why do you seem so familiar, Kemari? Naruto? Finally getting tired of being ignored, Kiba yelled. When are we taking this test? The sound of his voice seemed to bring Tsume out of her seething and into business mode. Looking out over the new Genin, Tsume said. Actually, I have decided against a test and have already filed you as a team, so today we will begin by doing the introductions we missed yesterday, and then we will get acquainted with each other's skills. Hearing a light wispy snort from her black-wearing student, Tsume smirked. Thanks for volunteering, brat. Naruto snorted again and said. My name is Kemari Naruto. Everyone waited, figuring he would say more. When after about 30 seconds of nothing, Tsume yelled. Is that it? Naruto raised his only visible eyebrow at the question. In reality, you all could care less about my likes, dislikes, or dreams for the future, and some of my skills are going to be shown in the next part of this, so there is no reason to say anything about them, so why say anything more? At this it was Hana who lost it. Because we are supposed to be a team, damn it, and we can't do that without knowing you at least a little bit. Naruto glared and said. Let's get one thing straight, this isn't a fucking team, it's a suicide job waiting to happen. 3 out of 5 members of this team would rather see me drowning in my own blood than get to know me, and the only one that may work with me will have his partners die if he were to fight alongside me. So you tell me, Inuzuka, how is getting to know me going to change anything when you, your mother, and your brother already have your minds made up about me, and Aburame-san is defenseless if I were to use a single jutsu? Hana was about to retort when an elderly voice cut her off. That is true, Naruto-kun, however, did you really think you would always get put on a team that complements your fighting style or that even stands your presence? Naruto turned away from his team to see Sarutobi petting Enmaku's ear. Naruto looked the old man in the eye and said. No, however, I figured that you would have had more than enough sense than to put me with those 3. Hell, I'd take the faggot Uchiha over these 3. Sarutobi glared half-heartedly at Naruto and said. Naruto-kun, what have I told you about making false accusations about people? Naruto stared at the old monkey and said. But Gigi Sasuke is so gay he could put a lisp on purple, and you know it. At this, none could hold it in any more. All 3 of the Inuzukas fell to the floor laughing. Naruto couldn't help but feel a little happy about making them laugh. Sarutobi shook his head and said. The Sasuke conversation aside, you're stuck with this team, Naruto, so introduce yourself properly and at least try and get along with the Inuzukas. And with that he disappeared. Naruto turned back towards his team, flopped back into his spot and sighed. My name is Kemari Naruto. I enjoy watching the sky, fighting, Enmaku, and playing around with smoke jutsu. I dislike those who judge people before getting to know them, people who peep on women, those who disrespect women, and revenge, and my dream for the future, well, I'm still not telling you that. Naruto chuckled at the groan the Inuzuka trio gave him. Tsume pointed for Shino to go next. My name is Aburame Shino. I enjoy insect collecting and conversing with insects. I dislike those who harm insects for no reason, and the derogatory term bug. My dream for the future is to become the strongest in my clan and become clan head. Tsume pointed towards Kiba and said, Go. My name is Inuzuka Kiba and this is Akamaru. I enjoy red meat and hanging out with Akamaru and my two best friends Shino and Hinata. I dislike people who think they are better than everyone else, looks at Naruto only to get a shrug in return, and Saktem, my dream for the future is to become the head of my clan. Hana smiled at her little bro and said, My name is Inuzuka Hana and these are my partners Gedokuyuku Antidote, Dokuyuku Poison, and Guken Health. I enjoy hanging out with my three partners, Veterinary Jutsu, my clan, and animal lovers. My dislikes are people who hurt animals for no reason, conceited people, and perverts. My dream for the future is to find a mate who all of my partners and my family would trust with their lives. Tsume snorted at her daughter's sappy introduction. My name is Inuzuka Tsume and this is Kuromaru. I like my clan, I dislike perverts, and my dream is to help my children obtain their dreams now. You know it's impolite to make us introduce ourselves and not do so yourself. Everyone turned towards the voice to see Naruto giving Tsume a blank stare. Kiba gave Naruto a confused look and said, Hello Kemari, did you miss the last 2 minutes or something? She just did. This time it was Shino who said something. No Kiba, she did not. All we really learned was her name. Naruto smiled unseen under his metal mask and said, What was all that about being a team and having to know each other? Kiba, still confused, asked, What the hell do you mean? Naruto looked at Kiba with a raised eyebrow. Please tell me you are not really this stupid. Inuzuka. She's clan head, so saying she likes her clan is a given. Most women dislike perverts, and she's a mother, so her dream is kind of a given as well, so all she really gave us was her name. Tsume smirked at her students. I'll make you cute little genin a deal. We fight you three against Hana and I, and if you're able to land a hit on me, I'll tell you about myself. The more you hit me, the more info you get. Starting now. And with that, Tsume and Hana disappeared. Naruto watched as Kiba and Shino started looking around for the two feral women. Sighing slightly at their inexperience, Naruto said, Sit down. If you go after her alone like you planned, Kiba, you'll get your kicked faster than you could think. Although not a big accomplishment, and Shino, they will be able to pick up the scent of your partners too fast for you to actually do anything with them but get them killed. Shino raised an eyebrow at the young Cyclops but did as was asked. Kiba, however, was not going for it. What would you know, Kemari? I'll go out there and kick the shit out of those two easy. Kiba said and jumped out of the clearing after his mother and sister. Rubbing his temple, Naruto looked over towards Shino. How long do you think it will take before Kiba gets his handed to him? Naruto asked, gaining a raised eyebrow from the Aburame. Given Kiba's brash nature, I'd have to assume not too long. Shino responded, making Naruto nod his head. Getting to their feet, Shino and Naruto shot into the woods after their thick-headed teammate. When they arrived at the clearing that held the three Inuzuka, Naruto couldn't help but sigh. Tell me, Shino, does he even realize he's outnumbered, outmatched, and half their size? Naruto asked, making the Aburame shake his head slightly. I'm more worried about the fact that he does in fact know, and he still isn't even thinking of a way to outsmart them. Shino said, making Naruto sigh again. I have a lot of work to do on that kid. Naruto said and relaxed in the branches of the tree, making Shino raise an eyebrow. Wouldn't it be in our best interest to help our teammate Kemari-san? Shino asked, making Naruto chuckle. We will, but if we jump in now, then he won't learn anything. Take a seat and enjoy the show. I'll stop it when I feel Kiba has learned his lesson. Naruto said, making Shino nod and lean against the tree he stood in. Down in the clearing, Kiba stared at the two women that stood on the other side of the clearing, petting their dogs, acting as if he didn't even exist. Hey, don't ignore me, Kiba growled, making the two other nin raise an eyebrow. Just you. Seriously, pup. Hana, you want to take this one? Tsume said, never stopping her petting of Kuromaru. Hana sighed at her mother's words. Not really, but I guess I will. She responded and sent her dogs to go lay down. Kiba, seeing this, growled. What the hell, sis? Not even going to use your dog? Kiba said, confused. Hana folded her arms and smirked. For you, pup, I won't need him, Hana said, offending Kiba greatly. I'll show you. Come on, Akumaru. Jujin Bunshin, beast human clone, Kiba yelled, transforming Akumaru into an exact replica of himself. Hana smirked as she saw her little brother and his clone rush at her. Once they were in range, both Kiba and Akumaru drew back for a punch. Neither got to follow through, however, as Hana lashed out with a kick, sending Kiba into the air. After she disposed of Kiba with the force of her spin, she brought her foot down onto Akumaru. Up in the tree line, Naruto whistled. Impressive. What do you think, Shino? Naruto asked, making Shino nod his head in agreement. Yes, it seems that Kami favored us when they were chosen as our senseis. Naruto chuckled at that response. Shino, you really don't get how this village works, do you? Naruto said, making Shino raise an eyebrow. I don't seem to understand, Kemari-san. Naruto chuckled at that. Of course you don't. Shino, allow me to give you some advice that someone very wise and powerful once gave to me. In the ninja world, information is worth more than gold. In war, it is who has the better information as the winner. In battle, it is who was informed of his opponent best. However, outside of battle, information is just as important. In this village, the Hokage has the most power simply because he has the least amount of information that can be used against him. However, should someone find out something about the Hokage that he doesn't want known, then they could use that to get something done. Naruto explained, making Shino raise an eyebrow. Blackmail? Shino asked, making Naruto chuckle. To civilians, yes, it's blackmail. To ninja, however, it's called bartering. I have information you want, you can do something I want. That is the true way the ninja world works, Shino, so remember that. It isn't about who has the better jutsu and who is stronger and faster. It all comes down to who has the better information. Now pay attention, Kiba's about to do something stupid. Naruto said, flicking his head towards the clearing. Picking himself out of the tree his sister sent him into, Kiba growled. Damn it. I just can't seem to get close to her. Looking over, Kiba saw Akumaru pick himself up off the floor. Hey little buddy, looks like it's time for drastic measures. Kiba said, drawing a small growl from Akumaru. Smiling at the tiny white dog, Kiba started running towards his sister while doing hand signs. Gatsuga, dual piercing fang, Kiba yelled, and he and Akumaru started spinning, creating two small vortexes that headed towards Hana. Hana smirked at this. Okay Kiba, fine then, let's play. Gatsuga, Hana said, and spun into a twister herself. Shino was about to jump in only for Naruto to stop him. Not yet, Shino, Kiba still hasn't learned. Don't worry, I'll get him out before anything serious happens. Naruto said, making Shino throw him a speculating look, but complied. Naruto watched as Hana's overpowered Akumaru's Gatsuga and sent him into the ground. He smirked, however, when he saw the feral girl come up behind Kiba and grabbed his feet, stopping his own rotation, and threw him in the air. As he saw the girl go back into her jutsu and head towards Kiba, he sighed. Well, I've seen enough, Naruto said. Hana smirked as she saw Kiba falling directly towards her attack just as she was about to hit him, however he seemed to disappear in a small tornado of smoke. Flipping herself out of the Gatsuga, Hana coughed up all the smoke she just ran through. Landing, Hana looked around only to notice that Akumaru was gone as well. When did the little shit learn that? She asked herself between coughs. Back in the clearing, the group started in. We see Naruto dropping Kiba on his with Akumaru in his lap. Turning his single eye onto the feral boy, Naruto sighed. After this test, I'm so buying you a leash. Okay, so pup, what did we learn? Naruto said condescendingly, making Kiba glare at him. Okay, fine. So then if our plans wouldn't work, what have you got, Kemari? Naruto smiled at the two and said. Well, I was thinking something along the lines of this. Tell me, Mutt, can you piss your mother and sister off? I mean, pissed enough for them to chase you? Naruto asked, gaining a raised eyebrow from the feral boy. Yeah, but why? Kiba asked, making Naruto smirk. Good, then I need you to go find them and lead them back to this clearing, am I clear? Seeing Kiba nod, Naruto smiled. Good, and leave Akumaru here, I need him for another part of the plan. Shino, tell me, how good are you at stealth? Naruto asked, making Shino raise an eyebrow. Although I'm not as good as you, it seems. I am rather proficient. Shino responded, making Naruto chuckle. Good, then I need you to take these. Naruto pulled 2 tags out from inside his vest, and when I signal you, I need you to place them on the backs or chests of the 2 Inuzukas. Got that? Naruto explained, making Shino nod. And what will you be doing in all of this? Kiba asked, making Naruto smile. Me. I'm going to provide cover, escape, and scare tactics. Naruto explained, making the other 2 confused. Naruto watched as Kiba smiled and Shino contemplated on his plan. Kiba was running through the woods around the clearing, trying to pick up the scent of either his mother or sister. Picking up the slight trace of his sister's scent, he shot off in that direction. Kiba broke the tree line in about 5 minutes only to land in a clearing with both his mother and sister. Looking around at the 2 feral-looking women and their 4 partners, Kiba said, well, damn, seems like Kemari was right, there are some ugly bitches in this village. Kiba watched as 2 tick marks started to appear of his mother's and sister's foreheads. How dare that little brat cuss in front of his mother? How dare that little shit call me ugly? When I find him, I'm going to tear him a new asshole. Kiba had to hide a smile as his mother and sister shot towards him. Turning his back on them, Kiba shot off back towards the original clearing. Shino watched and slowly slid his insects onto the bodies of the 2 feral women's partners while they were too preoccupied with Kiba to notice, and slowly started to drain their chakra. Kiba broke the tree line 10 minutes later, out of breath from the chase. Kiba watched as his mother and sister broke the tree line and started stalking towards him as if he were their prey. Tsume chuckled at her son's predicament and said, so pup man enough to cuss in front of your mother now? Then you are man enough to take the punishment. Hana growled at Kiba. Where is that little bastard? I'm going to tear him a new asshole. Kiba watched as the 2 girls circled him, finally dropping the act. A wispy voice said, I don't think so. Haijutsu. Kiri no Senka, secret technique. Fog of war. Tsume and Hana watched as what looked to be smoke start to circle Kiba and then blast outwards, covering the area. Tsume and Hana covered their mouth and noses as the heavy smell of smoke and ash invaded their scenes. A wispy voice rang its way out of the smoke and into the 2 women's ears. It burns, doesn't it? The feeling of smoke and ash burning your lungs, I wonder how your dogs must feel. Hana and Tsume both turned this way and that at the sound of a yelp. The voice chuckled. Oops, my bad. I always did wonder what revenge felt like. I guess now is my time. Hana was almost in tears as she heard another yelp, this time followed by a liquid hitting the ground. Hana couldn't take it anymore when she heard a body hit the ground and more liquid following it. Stop. Please stop. I couldn't take it again. Not the loss of another one. Please. Tsume listened as her daughter cried to herself. Tsume tried to move to get to her only to find that her body wouldn't respond to her demands. They both looked up and around when they saw the fog starting to lift. Looking in front of them, they saw the 3 genin Kiba sitting on the ground under the shade of an oak, Shino leaning on that same oak, with Naruto in the branches. Hana started looking around and started to freak out when she couldn't find her pups. Tsume noticed that as well and noticed that Naruto had an eye smile on. Growling deeply at him, Tsume said, You bastard, how dare you harm my daughter's pups? When I can move again, I'm going to tear you limb from limb, you fucking demon. At those words, Naruto lost his eye smile. Giving Tsume a neutral look, all he did was snap his fingers. At that snap of his fingers, a cage appeared with all 4 dogs inside barking, but with no sound coming out. Tsume was confused until she saw what the lock on the cage was. All that was keeping the cage closed was a thin sheet of paper with the kanji for silence on it. Realizing what he really did, Tsume looked up only to find Naruto gone. I guess he really didn't deserve that. Naruto sat on top of the 4th's head looking out over the village again. I should have known better. It didn't work 5 years ago and it won't work now. It seems regardless of what you say, Gigi, I'm doomed to a hell on earth. You know, sometimes as past as where your memories should be kept, Naruto-kun. Naruto cocked his head to the side to see the smoking freight train himself, Sarutobi Asuma. Turning back towards the city, Naruto said. Yes, but sometimes the past won't leave you alone until you escape it. Asuma sat down next to the blonde-haired boy and said. You know Hayate has been missing you, maybe you should go see him. Naruto gave a sad chuckle at that and said. You and I both know that Hayate-san and my friendship ended years ago when I helped him get together with Azuki-san. Asuma sighed at that. Actually, Yugo-san doesn't mind you anymore after Hayate told her it was you who helped them get together. Naruto gave a slight chuckle and said. No, but I'd rather her not have to go through the memories again. After all, losing your family once would be bad enough, but to see the beast that did it and not be able to do anything, I can never understand that pain. Asuma raised an eyebrow at that and said. Naruto, you're not the Kyuubi. When are you going to get that through your head? Naruto cocked his head to look at Asuma and said. I know I'm not the Kyuubi, Asuma-san. I don't have a tail, let alone 9. Asuma chuckled at the young boy's sarcasm. Come on, let's go get some ramen, my treat. And with that, both of them seemed to disappear. On their way to the Ichiraku ramen shop, Naruto and Asuma saw Naruto's team sitting in the local barbecue place smiling and laughing. Naruto looked on in want at their smiles and laughs. So that is what it's like to have friends. Asuma watched as Naruto's eyes shone with need. Leaning down, Asuma whispered. Do you want to join them, Naruto-kun? They are your team after all. Naruto stared at his team for another minute and then said. No, Asuma-san, let them enjoy their time together. Asuma shook his head but followed Naruto to Ichiraku's anyway. After about 15 bowls of ramen and a still unseen face later, Naruto was on his way home. Naruto walked into his home to see freshly destroyed belongings. Grabbing his hidden sleeping bag, Naruto started walking towards the forest. Finding his old campsite, Naruto set out his sleeping bag and got ready for bed. You know, you could always ask to stay with the old man if you needed a place to stay, sir. Naruto smiled at the sound of his old friend's voice and said. No, I will not, both Gigi, for such menial things like having to sleep on the ground. Enmaku stared at his master in disbelief. What have you been through, master, that you won't tell even me? The next day we find our hero in the same place as the day before, sitting under an oak watching the sun pass overhead. And so the newly started ritual of greeting continued. Tsume smiled at her students and said. Okay team, time for our first mission, so let's head on over to the Hokage Tower and let's get started. Kiba gave out a loud whoop at the thought of a mission while Shino gave a rare smile and Naruto was bored. Walking into the Hokage's office, Naruto smiled at the old man. The Hokage smiled back at Naruto and said. Now then, for Team 10 we have Pain, an old lady's house, helping clean the academy, helping get Kakashi out of bed. If you say one more D-rank mission, Gigi, I'm going to shove your Ika Ika Paradise book so far up here you'll be able to turn the pages with your tongue. Naruto said with a glare. Iruka jumped from his chair and said. Watch your mouth around the Hokage, Naruto, and besides, you all are fresh out of the academy genin you can't possibly take on. Iruka stared in disbelief as Team 10 stood there ignoring him completely and talking about ramen. Sarutobi chuckled at that and said. Fine, send in Tazuna. Team 10 turned towards the door only to see an old man walk in with a sake bottle in his hand. What, this is what I get for my money? 2 women and some kids, I mean, look at the blonde one with only one eye, I bet he pisses himself the second he walks out of the. Tazuna was cut off by what appeared to be a kunai made completely of smoke cut into the door next to his head. Turning back towards his bodyguards, all he saw was a single blue eye. Tazuna, unless you wish to die on this trip, I suggest you stay out of the dark. Naruto sat at the eastern gate waiting for the arrival of his team, contemplating. So my first official mission as a ninja and outside of the village, this should be fun. Catching the slight whiff of smoke and forest, Naruto smirked. Enmaku report. Naruto smiled. as his old friend appeared in what would appear to be a tornado made out of smoke. It seems that this wave country is under the rule of an evil shipping magnate that goes by the name of Gato. Although his business seems legit on first glance, in all reality he is the biggest drug and illegal arms dealer this side of the elemental countries. He has also been known to take out any opposition by hiring missing nin to get rid of them, and then he is also known to hire more missing nin or bandits to get rid of those missing nin, and so on and so forth. That is all the information I could obtain on Wave Country, sir. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. Naruto smiled at his old friend and said, "You have done more than enough, Enmaku. Thank you. Now then, I want you to follow our group a good 30 feet behind, but keep your ears peeled for any sign of our needing help, understand?" Enmaku nodded and then disappeared in the same tornado of smoke. And so the usual greeting started with Shino showing up first, followed by the Inuzuka trio, but this time following the Inuzuka was the client Tazuna. Tsume looked at her genin and couldn't help but notice how relaxed Naruto seemed to be. "Okay genin, we are going to travel in a pentagon formation. Kemari, you take lead, Kiba and Shino take middle, whilst Hana and I will take up the rear." Naruto chuckled at the wording but did as was told. Naruto watched as Kiba started bouncing on the balls of his feet and snickered. "If you had to piss, Kiba, you should have gone before we left or use a tree, but I'm not stopping, so you better hurry up." Kiba glared at the snickering genin. "I don't have to piss. I'm just excited. This is my first time out of the village, isn't it yours?" Naruto cocked his head to the side and said, "No, it's not. So for the sake of this mission and everyone here, both you and Shino get one thing straight. Out here it is survival of the fittest. Any rank you earned in the academy doesn't mean shit out here, so wise up and pay attention or else this place will be your grave site." With that, Naruto looked back towards where he was going and continued on down his trail. Unseen by the three genin, the two in the back seemed to freeze at his words. But how he looked so much like. _flashback_. A short blonde-haired man turned towards his only female teammate and said, "Tsume, either wizen up and realize that clans don't mean shit out here, or this place will be your grave site." _flashback_. Hana turned towards her mother and thought, "That speech was amazingly close to the one my mother gave me, but how would he know it?" Shaking themselves out of their stupor, the two Inuzuka followed closely behind the three genin. Naruto's eyes flickered to what most would assume to be a small puddle in the middle of the road, but Naruto knew better. Giving off a slight chuckle, Naruto said, "Still using the same genjutsu, huh? No originality, all well." As those words left his mouth, two ninja appeared where the puddle used to be. Naruto chuckled and cocked his head to the left to get a good look at them. Well, if it isn't the not-so-infamous Demon Brothers, so what are your plans with the bridge builder? Gato must have paid you a pretty penny if you risked going up against me to kill him." The rest of his team watched as Naruto challenged and taunted two C-rank ninja as if it were nothing. "You may have caught us off guard last time, Kemari, but this time you're dead." Naruto chuckled and said, "Oh please, it's not my fault that you couldn't stand the heat. Oh, and by the way, Haijutsu, Kiri no Senka." His team watched as a familiar tornado of smoke surrounded Naruto and barely had time to cover their noses and mouths as the smoke blasted outwards, covering the entire field. Everyone started twisting and turning as they heard a dark, wispy voice float into their ears. "Darkness is amazing. It has the ability to shield you from the things you're scared of, or the ability to shield the thing you're scared of from you, as the case may be." The Demon Brothers twisted and turned, trying to locate the voice. "Do you really think you are going to find me like that? You disappoint me, Demon Brothers. If that is all you have." Their eyes widened as the blonde-haired genin appeared in front of them, a hand on each of their chests. Naruto smirked. "Then you're already dead." Naruto disappeared into the darkness of the smoke again. His team watched in amazement as the smoke seemed to move to the side of the path, allowing them to see what was happening. Naruto stood leaning against a tree with the Demon Brothers in the middle of the path, frozen where they stood. In the middle of their chest was placed a small tag. Naruto chuckled and slowly walked over to them. "Well, now looks like you got caught in my trap, my dear little missing nin. So tell me, who hired you?" The first brother growled. "We ain't telling you shit, Phantom." Naruto chuckled. Tsume grew confused. Phantom. The brothers smirked. Are you telling me you have no idea who this is? Guzo said, flicking his head towards Naruto. Naruto glared at the brothers. Guzo smirked. Your new teammate is rather famous among bandits and low-ranking missing nin. He is known as Kemari no Genagan. He took out the largest human slavery ring in the elemental countries all by himself, killing 150 bandits as well as 11 D rank and 3 C rank missing nin all in under 10 minutes. Naruto's team gasped as turned their gaze towards him. Guzo chuckled again. The survivors of the battle spread word of the single eye that stared out at them trough the darkness. An eye that spun with rage and death. No one knows what color it is truly, but we all know that under that headband, he holds the eye of a phantom. Naruto chuckled and glared at the demon brothers. And you would do well to remember that you are not above my ability to kill, especially with those tags on your chest. The demon brothers looked down at their chest and saw a small tag with a very intricate seal array written on them. Naruto smiled at their confusion. Those little beauties are of my own design. They are called funin, ducho or body block seals. The demon brothers glared at Naruto. What do they do? Naruto chuckled. Do I look like a comic book villain to you? With that smoke covered the area again. His team had no idea what was going on, but from the screams that the demon brothers let out, it wasn't pretty. As the smoke slowly started to dissipate, Team 10 looked around trying to find some form of evidence that there was a fight, only to see a completely clean clearing. Are you coming or not? Because if you aren't, then there really isn't any reason for me to wait for you. Turning towards the voice, Team 10 saw Naruto leaning up against a tree with his arms crossed over his chest. Tsume glared at him. You fucking brat, now we don't know who they were after. Naruto rolled his eyes. If you really don't know, then you are dumber than you appear to be, and that's pretty dumb. Without another word, Naruto turned and started walking towards the path. After about 5 minutes of walking, a voice broke the silence. Kemari-san, is what that missing nin said true? Naruto turned towards Shino and raised his uncovered eyebrow. The missing nin said a lot of things. Which part do you want clarified? We want to know if you really killed all those people. Kiba growled out. Naruto glared at the young Inuzuka. This conversation is between Shino and I, so please keep your mouth shut. Turning back towards Shino, Naruto nodded, giving him permission to ask his question. Shino nodded and proceeded. As our tactless teammate said, I wish to know whether it is true that you broke up that slave ring. Naruto responded without missing a step. Yes. All those present went stock still and silent. Hana was slightly worried. How? Naruto cocked his head at the young Inuzuka girl. What do you mean how? Hana shifted slightly in her place. How did you do it? Naruto turned and started walking. This eye of mine has the ability to do amazing things, but at terrible cost to the user. Hana was even more concerned now. What does it cost you? Naruto chuckled. It depends on what I do. Tsume decided to intervene. What all can your eye do? She asked, making Naruto snorted. And why would you be interested in that? Naruto said, making Tsume glare at the blonde-haired pain in the. Because it could help with the team. Tsume responded, making Naruto chuckle. As I said, this isn't a team but a suicide job, but I will comply to your wishes. My eye does a plethora of things, each with its own consequence. For instance, one ability of my eye you have already seen. This made the Inuzuka trio stop. What do you mean we've never seen anything under your headband? Hana replied. Naruto chuckled. Oh really? If I recall, Inuzuka-san, several days ago one of your dogs died, and yet she stands there beside you as if nothing happened, not even a scar. The Inuzuka's eyes widened to unbelievable levels. So what you're saying is that you can bring the dead back to life? Naruto rolled his eyes. Is that not what I said? Tsume was shocked. Then he could. Hana gave him a concerned look. You said each ability had its own consequence. What is this one's? Naruto looked forward down the path they were walking on, not wanting to see the joy in their eyes as he told them the price. The price of this ability is time for time and pain for pain. This confused Hana. What do you mean time for time and pain for pain? Naruto gave off a dark chuckle. When I bring something back from the dead, they had to have died from combat, or else I cannot return them. When I return their soul to their body, I must pay for all the time that they have died, with time off of my own life. If they were injured in battle, then their injury becomes my pain and my eye bleeds. You now know the consequence of this power. Without another word, Naruto continued on the path. The rest of the day was traveled in silence. It was around 9 o'clock at night when the five stopped for the evening. Naruto watched as his teammates and clients set up their tents. While Naruto was lost in thought, he failed to notice the Inuzuka pup that had snuck up behind him. Naruto shot to attention when he felt the soft fur of the massive pup nuzzle her head into his hand. Looking down at the only female in Hana's triplets, Naruto smiled. Giving her a quick scratch behind the ear, Naruto said, "You might wish to leave now. Your father wouldn't be happy if he saw you with me. Inuzuka-sama wasn't when I first talked to Kiba." The pup nuzzled its head into Naruto's hand again but walked away. Naruto smiled as the pup walked over and joined the rest of her family. He couldn't help but let a small tear escape his eye as he saw one of Hana's pups put its paw down on Akumaru's head when he started barking, and Kuromaru admonished the pup for picking on the little one. Is this what a family is supposed to be? An hour passed and everyone was finally done setting up his or her tents. In that hour that everyone was working, Naruto was out gathering firewood, knowing that it would be a cold night. Walking into the campsite, Naruto wasn't surprised to see Tazuna already asleep and the rest of his team laughing and joking around. Well, as much as Shino can joke around. Walking towards the side of the clearing, a place with the least amount of debris, Naruto set up a small amount of the firewood before unloading the rest next to his so-called team. As Naruto lit his small fire and lay his sleeping bag down, Naruto heard a guttural voice growl at him. "Don't assume, Fox, that just because you saved my pup I suddenly like you." Naruto didn't respond, causing the voice to growl deeply. "Don't ignore me, Fox." Naruto again didn't respond. Naruto cocked his head to the side as he heard the possessor of the voice leap at him. Naruto smiled as he saw a red blur intercept the attacking Kuromaru. Everyone on Team 10 turned as they saw Kuromaru fly into the middle of the campsite. Turning towards where he came from ready for an attack, they were shocked to find two angry cerulean orbs glaring at him. "You listen, and you listen well, you domesticated little mutt. I have put up with you threatening my master. Hell, I have put up with you chasing my master, as I knew you would never catch him. However, should you ever attack my master again, I'll rip your throat out and show it to your pups." Kuromaru growled deeply in his throat. Enmaku growled deeper and shot at him. Team 10 watched in horror as Enmaku fought against the smaller Kuromaru. Tsume had tears in her eyes as she saw Enmaku pin Kuromaru and reach for his throat. Please don't, I can't handle losing you too." As if hearing her prayers, Enmaku was violently ripped off of the smaller animal's frame and thrown clear across the clearing. Looking up at he who would answer her prayers, she was surprised to see a single eye. With a glacier-like glare pointing at Enmaku. "Enmaku, why do you persist in disobeying me?" Team 10's eyes widened as the once feral Enmaku, that almost ripped out the throat of the strongest fighting dog of the Inuzuka, laid his ears down in shame. "But sir, you are too lenient on them. You should make all those who have harmed you pay." Naruto gave off a sad chuckle. "Enmaku, I'm sorry." Enmaku tilted his head in confusion. Sorry for what, sir?" Naruto gave a sad smile behind his mask. "It seems that my anger at the Inuzukas has worn off on you. It seems I am no better than the fools of the village. Enmaku, the reason I never retaliated on the Inuzuka or any of the others is because of you." Enmaku looked down in confusion. "Me, sir?" Naruto smiled. "Yes, I did not want you to grow up the way I did. I had always hoped that you would have talked with the mutts at the Inuzuka compound. I hoped that you would learn from them how to use your chakra, not from me. And finally, I hoped you were smart enough to leave me before you were hated as well." Enmaku glared at Naruto. "But sir, they hurt you. How could I ever want their help?" Naruto gave the large fox a sad smile. Enmaku, I think you are too hard on those that have done you no wrong. Enmaku growled. And I think you should have let me put an end to filthy mongrel before he pulls something again. Naruto glared at the fox. Enmaku, I have no problem voicing my dislike of the Inuzuka, however I will not allow you to kill someone over something that doesn't even affect you. This statement made Enmaku's eyes widen in shock. The fox bowed his head in shame and disappeared into the darkness of the woods. Naruto looked back at Team 10 to see them all of the Inuzuka fussing over a few scratches that were on Kuromaru. Naruto sighed, knowing he won't be able to sleep in the campsite that night. Walking over to his little corner, Naruto rolled up his sleeping bag and doused the small fire. Shino watched all of this with interest but never said a word as the blonde-hair smoke user trekked out of sight. Shino turned towards the rest of his team and couldn't help but think how right Naruto's description of this team really was. After 15 minutes of fussing over Kuromaru, everyone seemed to calm down and took their seats around the campfire. Tsume gave a confused look at the fire. Who went and got the firewood? Shino inwardly sighed. Kemari-san did while we were setting up our tents. Hana looked around the clearing. Where is the little brat anyway? Shino, knowing who she was talking about, again responded. He left after he saw you all worrying over Kuromaru-san. For he felt as if he was not wanted here. This surprised everyone. Wow, to break down his camp that fast, I gotta say boy's pretty good at setting up a tent. Shino gave out a hum. It didn't look to me like he even possessed a tent. Tsume snorted. Little punk probably forgot it. Shino shook his head. I don't think so, Tsume-san. Tsume glared at the bug user for saying she's wrong. Oh really, then what do you think, brat? Shino pushed his glasses back up his nose and said. I don't think Kemari-san possesses any camping supplies, nor has he ever, if I am correct. Hana raised an eyebrow at this. Oh, and what makes you say that? Shino sighed again. 1. While we were setting up tents, he left to collect firewood, knowing it would be cold, even though the forecast said it would be a warm night. 2. When we left Konohana, he didn't seem to have any backpack. At the time I assumed that he sealed his equipment, but now I think otherwise. And finally, when I watched him leave, I noticed that the sleeping bag he was using looks like it was caught in a shredder, and it hardly had any insulation left. This left the Inuzuka trio to think in order from oldest to youngest. How did I miss that? Why didn't he say anything? Why doesn't he have any camping equipment? Surely his parents can't be that poor. Hana stood from her seat and started walking towards the woods. Tsume turned towards her daughter. And where are you going? Hana stopped and cocked her head to the side. I'm going to find him. Tsume glared a little at her daughter. Leave him be. If he wants to go off and pout, then let him. Hana glared angrily at her mother. He didn't leave to pout, he left because he thinks we hate him. Tsume glared hard at her daughter. No, I forbid you from going after him. Hana's eyes widened. My mother's never actually forbade me from doing something before. Returning her glare, Hana growled. I don't care, I'm going after him. Tsume's glare intensified. Hana, if you dare go after that boy, then you can expect not to come home. Hana stopped as all those present's eyes widened. Wah! What? Tsume glared at her daughter. You heard me. If you walk out of this clearing before I give you permission, you will not be allowed back in my house. That brought Hana to her knees. Hana looked into her mother's eyes and saw how serious she was. Hana dropped her head and sat back down by the fire, head dropped, not making eye contact with anyone. Shino watched this display with as much rage as an Aburame can feel. He couldn't help but see how truthful his father was being. Flashback. Shino walked into his father's office after his first official team meeting. Shino stood quietly on the opposite side of the desk waiting for his father to acknowledge him. Shibi looked up from his paperwork and asked, Who are they? Shino nodded. My teammates are Rookie Genin Inuzuka Kiba and Special Genin Kemari Naruto. My senseis are Inuzuka Hana and Inuzuka Tsume. Shibi shook his head slightly. Shino took that as his symbol to leave. As Shino opened the door, he heard his father's voice break through the silence of the room. Shino. The younger Aburame turned his head. That boy Kemari, look out for him. Shino raised an eyebrow. Why? Shibi gave a small sigh. Because no one else will. Underscore flashback end underscore. And now seeing the way the Inuzukas were treating him, he understood. Standing from his seat, Shino made his way towards the forest. And where do you think you're going? Shino didn't even turn around. I am going to find my teammate, as it seems I am the only one he has. Without another word, Shino broke the tree line and disappeared into the forest. Hana stood from her seat silently at his words and made her way into her tent. Hana laid down in her sleeping bag and finally allowed the tears she was holding to fall. Shino followed his bugs to where Naruto was and was surprised to see him standing there as if he was waiting for them. Naruto smiled as he saw Shino walk calmly into the clearing. Hello Shino, I figured you would be the one to come and find me. Shino raised an eyebrow. Naruto chuckled. Please Shino, as I said, you are the only one that would even try to work with me, but you can't, until now. Shino's eyes widened as he heard those words. Naruto smiled as he reached behind his neck and plucked the small beetle Shino had planted there, from his skin. Holding the beetle out in front of him, Shino's eyes widened. Instead of the usual purple and black beetles that inhabited Shino's body, this beetle was pure black, but still attracted the male Kuchiku bugs. Naruto chuckled and let the small insect fly back into Shino's body. I did the same thing I did with Enmaku to one of your bugs. She's a female, so by the time we return to Konohana you should have enough to use jutsu and actually fight alongside me. Shino stood in amazement as the small black beetle crawled back under his skin. Shino looked back up at Naruto. I was not the first one to try and come looking for you. Naruto's single visible eyebrow rose. Oh really? Shino gave a swift nod. Yes, Hana-san was the first to try and come after you, but her mother stopped her rather harshly. Naruto gave out a sigh. It seems that I may have been too harsh on some of the Inuzuka, or maybe just Hana-san. Naruto looked at Shino and smiled. Thank you for telling me this Shino, now I have some things to think about. Shino nodded, dropped a sleeping bag at the edge of the clearing and disappeared back into the forest. The next morning came swiftly to some, but all arose as the sun peeked through the trees of the early morning. The Inuzuka trio, Shino, and Tazuna packed up camp and looked around the clearing. Tsume growled. Whatever, let's go people, we can't wait around on the little brat. The team all turned and started following Tsume, although Hana reacted a little late. About 5 miles up the road they were met with a horrible sight. There were bandits dressed in all black walking by large cages on wheels. Inside the cages, however, is what was so horrifying. Inside the cages were women of all ages. One of the men walked up to one of the cages and chuckled. Oh, I'm going to have fun with you. You dirty little who. His voice, however, was cut off as a chuckle echoed throughout the clearing. If I were you, I wouldn't finish that sentence, shit stain. All of the men turned trying to locate the voice when suddenly the area exploded into a cloud of smoke. All of the bandits started to get worried now. With those whose hearts are as black as pitch. You'll find your body in a ditch. I mean no harm, I wish you well, for soon you'll find yourself in hell. As the last word was said, a single solid blue eye shone out through the darkness and glared at those who have wronged the innocent. As they looked into that eye, a vision of death shone before them. They watched as their blood drained from their bodies and as the Shinigami came and took their souls. Finally gaining enough courage, one of the bandits was able to stutter out. It's the Phantom. Get high, ah! The single blue eye moved around the darkness faster than anything the bandits have ever seen. Team 10 stood by watching in horror as the mist cleared to show the bandits' bodies torn apart and shredded. Naruto, who was suspiciously clean of blood, walked over to the cages and broke the locks, holding them together. Naruto turned after he broke all of the locks and made his way off into the woods. Only to be stopped by a frantic voice. Mommy. Mommy, wake up. We're free, mommy, we can go home. Mommy. Mommy, please wake up, please. Naruto looked over his shoulder to see a girl around the age of 5 shaking a woman. Looking over the cuts on her body, Naruto could tell that she dies from the cut that went up her right forearm. Sighing, Naruto walked over to the girl and set his hand on her shoulder. Giving her a slight smile, Naruto asked, "Hey, do you think I could try waking her up? It seems she's kinda out of it." The little girl looked down on the ground. You're not going to hurt her, like the mean men did, are you?" Naruto shook his head, causing the young girl to smile brightly at him. Walking over to the fallen women, the little girl gasped in surprise as she saw his pure blue eye turn green with a blue middle. Naruto focused chakra into his eye. Naruto gave a small smile as he felt the blood drip down his face. The little girl squealed as she saw her mother's eyes open. Knowing that she has returned, Naruto cut his chakra flow and turned to walk away. Naruto was stopped, however, when he felt a small tug on his pants leg. Looking down, he saw the same little girl from earlier. Thank you for waking my mommy up." Naruto smiled down at the little girl. "Don't thank me for this, I have done nothing extraordinary." With that, Naruto rubbed the little girl's head and walked back over to his team. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the looks his team was giving him. Deciding not to ask, Naruto walked past his team and continued on the path. Naruto was stopped again, this time by a hand grabbing his shoulder and spinning him around. As Naruto spun, he drew the hidden kunai from within his sleeve. As he raised the kunai into an attacking position, he was met with the two brown eyes filled with concern and confusion. Naruto's eyebrow raised in confusion at the sight of the looks the Inuzukas were giving him. "Can I help you?" Naruto asked, making Hana look at the blood that poured from his covered eye with concern. "Why?" Naruto turned away from the feral girl at her question and continued on the path, ignoring her question. Her hand grabbed his shoulder again. "Don't ignore me, damn it. I'm sick of not knowing anything about you. Why do you hate the Inuzuka? Why do you wear that mask? How did you get that eye? Why did you save them when it cost you part of your life?" At Hana's questions, Naruto cocked his head and glared at the brown-haired beauty behind him. "Unless you want to lose your arm, I suggest you remove your hand from my shoulder." Hana glared right back at that response. "Not until you answer my questions." Hana yelled, making Naruto glare hard at the girl and broke her hold on his shoulder. "If you want your first 3 questions answered, ask your mother." Hana went wide-eyed at the response. And the last one?" Naruto looked down the path they were traveling on. "Tell me, do you remember a homeless man that always stood in the alley between the Hokage Tower and the mission's office?" Hana was confused but replied, "Yeah, I've seen him before, but not lately. Why?" Naruto gave a sigh. "What do you know of that man?" Hana raised an eyebrow. "I don't know. He was a homeless, older man, he had white hair, and I don't know anything else." Naruto cocked his head back. "His name was Kazuma Akuma. He was an ANBU captain in the Third Great Shinobi War. He created the Kaden Karyu Enden no Jutsu. This jutsu was then stolen by the Uchiha shortly after. During the war he had a wife and 2 kids, however his wife couldn't handle the changes war has brought on him, so she left him, taking his retirement pension with her. The man was going to celebrate his 62nd birthday this fall, but you know the thing almost nobody knows about him." Hana still didn't get it. "This doesn't answer my case," Naruto cut her off. "The thing almost nobody knows about him is that he died 3 months ago, so you ask me why I give up my life for people I don't know or people I don't like. The same reason he did, because those people will be remembered. That little girl will remember and love her mother for the rest of her life. You will love your mud. I am an orphan child that lives off anything I can find. No parents, no friends, no partners. When my time on this earth is up, it will be like I was never here. Come on, we have to get going, we're on a schedule." Team 10 and Tazuna stared at the fading back of the blonde-haired assassin, each feeling something different. Confusion shot through Tsume like a rocket. I see. Maybe he's not so bad. No, this is a trick from the fox. Yeah, that's it. Rage and sadness hit Hana like a kunai between the eyes. He thinks no one cares if he lives. Damn it, mother, if you didn't stop me last night, maybe I could have figured out a way to help. No real emotion hit Kiba, but he couldn't help but wonder. Is that how I would have turned out if I didn't have any family? Shino just looked on in thought, trying to find a way to help. Tazuna stared in complete disbelief. Is this what it means to be a ninja? The trip continued on in silence, with Naruto traveling a good 10 feet in front of the rest of the group. The rest of the team were surprised when the blonde-haired boy in front of them came to abrupt stop. Tsume looked at him in confusion. Kemari, what's with the hold up? Naruto's single eye drew into a dark glare and a deep, almost evil growl escaped his throat. Come to me, Enmaku. The words slipped out of his mouth and the large fox appeared by his side. The Inuzuka all tensed as the next words left his mouth. Sick him, Enmaku. The red fox grinned evilly and disappeared. One Enmaku was out of the clearing. The sound of slicing wind entered it. Naruto smirked behind his mask. Naruto leaned his body backwards at a 90-degree angle and chuckled as he saw the large cleaver glide inches away from his nose. Standing up, Naruto clapped his hands together. I must say you always did have a flair for the theatrics, Zabuza. A gasp escaped Tsume's mouth as the large bandaged man with camo pants and a tilted and slashed mist forehead protector seemed to appear on top of the cleaver that was embedded inside of a tree. The man standing on top of the cleaver glared at the blonde with hatred. Tsume growled at the man. Zabuza, the demon of the bloody mist, what are you doing here? The bandaged man turned his glare towards Tsume and gave an unimpressed look. Well, if it isn't the Konoha Ryukin no Makai, Hound of Hell, oh, and you even brought the Cerberus, still not worth my time, Tsume growled. Come on, Kuromaru, Gatsuga. Zabuza rolled his eyes as he saw the clan tactic. Naruto watched on, knowing exactly what was going to happen. As the spinning tornado of teeth and claws drew within inches of Zabuza, he jumped. Naruto shook his head as he saw the bandage-covered man axe kick the elder Inuzuka into the ground. Hana watched as the demon kicked her mother to the ground as if she was nothing. I'll fucking kill you for that. Sanhitsu no Cerberus. 3 heads of Cerberus. Naruto's eye widened at the technique as he watched the chakra from her 3 dogs takes the shape of a massive 3-headed hell beast and rush at Zabuza. Looking over at the extremely calm Zabuza, he couldn't help but sigh. Damn, he's good. Hana couldn't help but stare in amazement as she saw the giant water dragon rise from the lake behind Zabuza and tear through her Cerberus. Naruto watched, as while Hana was preoccupied with handling the water dragon with her 3 dogs. Zabuza appeared behind her and knocked her out. Now, while Zabuza didn't have a problem with killing people, he would hate to lose a good challenge. Zabuza turned and attacked the bridge builder. Kiba, Shino, and Tazuna all watched in horror as the giant cleaver started coming down on them. Tazuna closed his eyes, not wanting to see his death. Clank. Tazuna's eyes shot open at that noise to see the blonde-haired ninja standing in front of him, arms crossed with 2 strange blades in his hands. Attached to each of his hands was what looked like a pair of brass knuckles with a spear tip coming out the front of the knuckles, as well as 3 blades that trailed down his forearms. 1 blade ran down the outside, 1 ran down the inside, and the final blade ran down the top portion of his forearm. Naruto smirked at Zabuza. Well, now isn't this a familiar situation, Zabuza? Zabuza growled. I warned you, brat, that should we ever cross paths again you would taste my blade. Naruto flipped himself to the side, bringing Zabuza's blade with it and right into the ground. Naruto chuckled at Demon of the Mist, but on the inside he was nervous. If I recall, our last encounter left you with no pants or eyebrows, so tell me, why would this one be any different? Zabuza chuckled darkly. Because I see you got a new sensei, and I can tell just by that little skirmish with her she can't keep up with me, nor does she know a blade from the pummel, so you tell me, boy, what makes you think you can really do anything to me? Naruto smirked. Because, this time, we fight on my terms. Zabuza started coughing as smoke and ash entered his lungs. Still coughing, Zabuza tried to focus his senses into the darkness like he does with his mist. A deep chuckling broke him from his efforts. Do you really think I would forget who I'm facing, Zabuza? I know what your specialty is. Once your trick is found out, however, it's easy to fight you. Zabuza's eyes flew open as he felt a blade cut into his right forearm. Looking into the darkness, Zabuza was met with a single swirling solid blue eye staring out at him through the smoke. It seems that this time, Zabuza, you'll have to fight with a sense you haven't used in years, your eyes. Zabuza tried again to extend his hearing as much as he could. The only thing that reached his ears was another chuckle. You just don't get it, do you, Zabuza? In this smoke, I am king. I don't have footsteps if I don't want them. I have no smell if I wish it. In this smoke I don't even have a heartbeat. The only way you even have a hope of beating me is to open your eyes and look into mine. But tell me, Zabuza, can you do it? Can you look into my eyes and see your worst fears? Tell me, Zabuza, are you scared to look into the eyes of your phantoms? The chuckle got darker as Naruto noticed that Zabuza never opened his eyes. So much for the vicious demon, what a waste. Zabuza's eyes snapped open in anger. Zabuza realized his mistake a little too late as he saw the swirling yellow eye with a blue center. I win again, Zabuza. Those were the last words he heard before his whole world went blank. Naruto chuckled as he saw the larger man fell from his spot on his sword. Naruto turned towards Team 10 and smiled behind his mask. Well, we might as well get these TW, ah. Team 10 stared in fright as Naruto screamed and clutched his now bleeding spinning eye. Naruto could feel it, the hatred they felt for him. It felt like 1,000 Senbon needles pushing their way into his heart. He could feel it. The anguish they held at the loss of their loved ones. The loved ones that died at the paws of the horrid beast he held. He felt sadness. Sadness at not being able to stop the fools from harming the small child turned assassin under his care. He could feel the loss of a friendship, of a sensei, of a family. That's all Naruto could take before his whole world went black. He could feel them, the steel-like claws as they dug into his skin. He felt the teeth tore at him like a bad piece of meat. Naruto's single blue eye snapped open. Seeing the unfamiliar wooden ceiling, Naruto started scanning his body and his surroundings. 5 beings were inside the room, 1 located across the room, 3 in a cluster located about 5 feet to his right, and the final being was within an inch of his right hand. Taking a quick look to his right, he was surprised to see a sleeping Inuzuka Hana with her head not even an inch away from his hand. Sitting up, Naruto looked around at the other figures inside the room. As he figured after he saw Hana, the 3 clustered together to his right were her triplets. As Naruto turned his eyes towards the last figure in the room, his eyes drew into a glare. What the hell do you want? You are definitely the last thing I want to see in the morning. The figure growled at him. Do you honestly think I would allow my daughter in the same room with you by herself? She may not know what you are, Fox, but you can't fool me, I know exactly what you are. Naruto's eyes turned frigid as those words left her mouth. Let's get one thing straight, you don't know shit about me, got it? And as of right now, the only reason you are even alive right now is because of me, so I suggest you shut the fuck up, take your daughter, and get the hell out of the room. Tsume growled. What do you mean the only reason I'm alive? I could have beaten Zabuza. Naruto chuckled. You are such a stupid bitch. Did you really think I wouldn't recognize you? Did you really think the Hokage didn't know that you were the one who attacked me? By law you were to be given a public execution and your clan shamed, Tsume snorted. The Hokage wouldn't risk losing an entire clan just because I attacked you, brat. Naruto chuckled. He would when you took the eye of his surrogate grandson, and you seem to forget something, you stupid bitch. Your clan is easily replaceable, isn't that right, Enmaku? The red and white fox phased into the room and smirked. That is correct, sir. Tsume's eyes widened at those words. So tell me, you stupid bitch, do you really think that the Hokage wouldn't risk losing your clan when he can replace it with one that has my powers? Tsume growled. Unlike you, brat, my clan actually has a bloodline limit and we use our Ninken to coincide with that limit, so tell me, brat, what can your children offer that mine can't? Naruto smirked and tapped at his forehead protector. Tsume's eyes widened. It seems you've figured it out. That's right, because of the way it came about, my eye is now a bloodline limit. Naruto glared at the feral women again. So remember that next time you think you know me, bitch, because you know nothing. With that, Naruto flipped out of bed, waking up Hana in the process. Kemari-san, you're finally awake. What happened? What did you do to Zabuza? Why did you start screaming? Your eye was bleeding. You didn't give up more of your life, did you? Are you still hurting? I'm rambling, aren't I? Naruto chuckled. Okay, in order. I beat Zabuza with a different power from my eye. I started to scream and my eye bled because of the consequence of the power. No, I didn't have to give up any more of my life, and yes, you are. Hana blushed slightly and couldn't help but feel happy on the inside. He's actually answering my questions, maybe he's starting to come around. What were the consequences and what does the power do? Naruto chuckled and rolled his eyes. In reverse order this time. The power is that I can bring forth a certain emotion that others have felt for you and make you feel it. However, in return, I have to pull those same feelings from inside myself. Hana was confused. What can drawing another person's emotions do to you? Naruto chuckled. Imagine, if you will, that you felt the loss of the family of every person you've ever killed, you felt their hatred directed towards you, and finally you felt their sadness. Could you handle that emotional pressure of thousands of people feeling those things and it all running through you? No, of course you couldn't. The mind and body wasn't built for that, so to handle the pressure your body goes into shock until your mind can sort them out. Hana gasped as she realized what exactly that meant. That means, Naruto opened the door and chuckled. Yep, I felt it all. The sadness, the rage, the loss, it was all there and directed at me. I'm hungry, I'll be back later. Hana watched as the blonde-haired assassin left the room. Hana turned to her mother and glared. Mom, tell me, why did Kemari-san tell me to ask you about the other questions? Tsume glared at her daughter's question. It's nothing you have to worry about, pup. Hana growled at her mother. Bullshit, it doesn't. When someone possesses that much power and hates our clan, I have every right to know. Hana yelled, making her mother glare at her. Now isn't the time nor place to talk about this, pup. Ask me again when we get home and I might tell you. Tsume responded and walked out of the room, leaving her daughter there to steam in anger. Naruto walked down the stairs of the hotel-turned-house and stared at the weirdest sight he's ever seen. There, sitting in front of him, was Inuzuka Kiba, trying to strike up a conversation with Zabuza's apprentice. Letting out a sigh, Naruto walked up behind the feral boy and smacked him in the back of the head. While I do agree we should interrogate the prisoners, I think letting someone who's qualified do it would be the best course of action. Dog shit. Naruto said in a condescending tone. Kiba glared at the smoke user and growled out. Are you saying I'm not qualified, Kemari? Naruto rolled his eyes the dog boy's question. No, Kiba, I think drooling on the floor and humping the poor girl's leg is a completely reasonable way to get information. Now leave unless you want to see someone getting tortured. Kiba's eyes widened at those words. You're going to torture her? Kiba's scream brought everyone running to the room. Naruto glared at the feral boy and ignored everyone who just walked in. You really don't get it, do you, you domesticated little pup? This is the life of a ninja. It's kill or be killed. This isn't like back in that pathetic excuse for an academy where clans and titles rule. This is the real world, Kiba. So if you are just going to get in my way, then leave the fucking room and bring everyone who can't stand to watch with you. Naruto yelled and then turned his back on everyone. Everyone in the room let out a small gasp as they saw Kiba jump at the back of the blonde-haired smoke user, kunai in hand. Tsume's jaw clenched when she saw Naruto spin and plant her son face first into the ground with his arm in a wristlock, his own kunai to his throat. Go figure. You're just like the rest of your family, Kiba. This will be the second time your family has done something that pisses me off enough to get you all banished or killed, but you're lucky I'm not vengeful. Naruto said and let Kiba up, taking the kunai from his grasp as he did so. Throwing the kunai handle first to Tsume, Naruto said. This will be the second time I've let this pass, Inuzuka-sama, don't make it a third. With that, Naruto walked away from the group again and stood in front of the two ex-Kiri-nin. Well now, Zabuza, I must say, while this isn't as amusing as loosing your pants and eyebrows, this is much more productive, I think. Naruto said, making Zabuza growl. I ain't talking you Kakashi wannabe. The only response Zabuza got was a fist to the side of the face and a blade pressed into his neck. You ever bring that man up again, I'll make sure you wished I was torturing you. Do I make myself clear, you worthless piece of shit? Naruto growled, causing Zabuza to laugh. Oh, got a soft spot there, Phantom. What is the matter, daddy? Taken away your favorite toy? Naruto glare dropped into a sinister smirk at Zabuza's words. Oh no, Zabuza, you see, while I don't have a father, I always did wonder how much a parent could take before of their child being tortured before they themselves crack. Zabuza glared at the blonde-haired boy's words. Warning: after this, Naruto seems very dark and evil. Proceed to next warning if you don't wish to read this part. What are you talking about, to worthless piece of shit? I don't have any kids. Those words made Naruto smile. Naruto walked over to the young girl that was tied to the chair about 10 feet away. Naruto slowly ran his finger down and across the curve of her jaw. Slowly walking behind the girl, Naruto grabbed her hair and pulled her head back. Slowly running his fingers through her hair, Naruto smiled at Zabuza. Oh, so you're telling me that this little beauty isn't your daughter? Then what is she exactly, Zabu-chan? Naruto asked, still running his fingers through the girl's hair, making the girl cringe, and Zabuza grit his teeth. Haku is nothing but a tool. Naruto practically purred at this. Oh, so this gorgeous woman's name is Haku. Pretty name for a pretty girl. A tool, you say? So tell me, Zabuza, would you mind if I borrowed this pretty little tool of yours? I'll return her after I'm done using her. Naruto said, slowly running his fingers over her lips, avoiding when she tried to bite him, causing him to chuckle. Feisty, I'll be sure to break you of that. So Zabuza, can I borrow this tool for a bit? Naruto asked, his intentions perfectly clear in his voice. You bastard. Get your hands off of Haku or I'll tear you a new asshole. Zabuza growled, anger showing clearly on his face. Naruto smirked. Oh, getting angry, Zabu-chan. But why? I thought she was only a tool. Could it be that I was lied to? You know, Zabuza, I don't like being lied to. At his last word, Naruto pulled a paper tag out of his vest and slapped it against the back of Haku's neck, causing the girl to scream. Zabuza's eye widened. What the fuck are you doing to her? Naruto smiled at the demon's words. I told you, Zabuza, I don't like being lied to. Now, instead of me using Haku-chan to fulfill my desires, no, now she's living what it would be like to be gang raped by an entire village. All well, not like it matters, she's just a tool. Naruto said it so nonchalantly that it would seem as if it were an everyday occurrence. Zabuza glared angrily at the blonde-haired boy. Take that tag off her now. I'll fucking kill you. Naruto chuckled and pulled up a chair in front of Zabuza. Flipping it backwards and sliding into the chair, Naruto gave an eye smile. Now then, Zabuza, how about me and you make a deal, huh? You see, I'm a pretty nice guy when I get the truth. How about this, you tell me where Gato is hiding and I'll pull that tag off of little Haku-chan, and then I'll drop you off anywhere you want and we'll continue on our merry little way. Naruto said, all the while holding his eye smile. Or how about when I get out of these bindings, I rip your head off and keep it as a souvenir of our time together. How about that, Phantom? Zabuza yelled and spat in the floor at Naruto's feet. Naruto sighed. You know, I really didn't want to do this, but Naruto reached into his vest and pulled out another tag. Tell me, Zabuza, do you want to know what this tag does? Seeing Zabuza never drop his glare, Naruto chuckled. Of course you do. You see, Zabu-chan, that tag that is on your apprentice is a two-part tag. The first part is, as you can see, that she lives through an entire village raping her. The second part, however, is this tag. This tag makes everything she's feeling right now a reality to her. Her body will bleed as the ghosts of an entire village ravage her tight little holes. All you have to do to avoid this, Zabuza, is tell me where Gato is. No. All well. Naruto stood from his seat and walked over to Haku. Pulling her hair to the side, Naruto was about to apply the seal on top of the first when he heard. Stop. I'll talk, damn it. That little shit ain't paying me for this. I'll talk, just take that damn tag off of her. Naruto smiled at those words. First tell me, Zabuza, where is Gato? Naruto asked. The little shit's on the far side of the island. He has about 20 mercenaries with him at all times. That's all I know now. Take that damn tag off. Naruto smiled and ripped the tag off of the girl's neck. Haku looked around and when she spotted Zabuza her eyes widened. Okay, it's done for all you sissies who skipped it. Master Zabuza, you're alive. Thank God. But how I saw them kill you. It was horrible. They tortured you and no matter what I told them they wouldn't stop. Thank God you're okay. Zabuza's and everyone else in the room's eyes widened. You tricked me, you bastard, Zabuza whispered. Naruto cocked his head and looked at Zabuza. Zabuza, I'm a ninja, a trained killer. I lie, cheat, steal, and kill for the profit of my village, so I'm not going to pretend I'm a good guy and that I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not a monster. I detest rape more than anything in this world. I know you better than you might think, so if I find out that you were truthful then I'll make you an offer that I think you'll like. However, should I find out you lied, then there are localized explosive tags on the backs of your necks. Well, enough said. With that, Naruto walked away from the demon and his apprentice. Once Naruto was out of the room, he leaned against and slid down the wall, crossing his arms over his legs and placed his head in between his legs. Damn it, my first mission with my team and I have to torture someone. Shit, I'm so screwed when I get back. I hate doing that. Someone placing a bottle of water down next to him cut Naruto's mental rant short. Looking up, Naruto saw Shino leaning against the wall beside him. Well, that was interesting. So what are you going to do with that information and how did you know that Gedo was behind it? Shino asked in his typically calm voice, making Naruto chuckle. Yeah, really wish I didn't have to do that. And about the information, well, guess I'm going to go and kill Gedo. Maybe try and get his bank account numbers for this village and its people. Shino raised an eyebrow at the blonde's words. Okay, so when do we leave? Naruto leaned his head back against the wall and sighed. There is no we, Shino. I'm leaving to take care of this little problem in the morning, but you and the others are staying here. Naruto said, making Shino's eyebrows shoot into his hairline. Oh, I get the others, seeing as they seem to wish you were dead, but I thought we were going to be teammates, Kemari-san. Naruto chuckled at Shino's question. You're right, we are, Shino. However, there are two reasons I can't allow you to go with me tomorrow. One is because your insects haven't procreated enough for your jutsu to be useful with me, and two is because of something I was asked to do while we were still in the village. His words made Shino give a curious look to the blonde-haired boy. What were asked to do, Kemari-san? Shino asked, making Naruto smile. You see, on my way from the Hokage Tower. _flashback_. Naruto just walked away from the tower and was on his way to his apartment through an alleyway when a presence stopped him. Crouching low in an attack position, Naruto looked around. I know you are there, so come out. I don't have time to play this game. Naruto said, drawing a light chuckle and feminine voice from the shadows. You are as good if not better than my husband, described Uzumaki-kun. Naruto whirled around only to be greeted with a white high-collared trench coat and a pair of sunglasses, giving a sigh. Naruto stood and relaxed. It's Kemari, actually, Aburame-sama. Naruto said, drawing a light chuckle from the long-haired Aburame. Of course it is, Naruto-kun, my apologies. Replied the usually silent woman. Aburame-sama, not to rush, but I have a mission, so why is it that you stopped me? Naruto asked, making the girl smile under her collar. Actually, that mission is what I have come to talk to you about. Her words made Naruto raise an eyebrow. Ma'am, if this is about being around your son, then, the woman cut the young man off with a simple snort. Don't assume I'm like those foolish villagers, boy. I have no qualms about you being near my son. No, the reason I need to talk to you is the exact opposite. My husband talks a great deal about you, and to get an Aburame to talk a great deal, period, is a big deal. I know of your name outside these walls, my boy, even if others don't, Naruto snorted, cutting her off. I'm sorry, but I have no idea what you mean, Abura. Kemari no Genagan. Do you really take me for a fool, boy? The woman cut him off, drawing a glare from the boy. Okay then, Aburame-sama, what is it that you want? The woman smiled slightly at the young man's paranoia. Nothing much. I just want you to promise me something. I know that out there you will face bandits and maybe a low-level shinobi, so promise me that you'll make sure my little Shino makes it home okay. The woman asked while looking Naruto in the eye. Naruto sighed and turned his back on the woman. I promise. Flashback end underscore. I then left. So as you can see Shino, I can't allow you to come with me. Shino blushed slightly at the story. I really wish my mother wouldn't embarrass me like that. That made Naruto laugh and pat Shino on the shoulder. Shino man, don't say stuff like that. Hell, I'd kill for a mother that would embarrass me. Hell, all mine wants to do is. Naruto's single eye widened as those words left his mouth. Shino looked at his blonde-haired teammate and filed that small bit of info away for later. Pushing himself off the wall, Naruto walked up the steps towards his room. As Naruto was about to enter his room, a gruff female voice stopped him. So you plan to go and attack Getu's place alone, do you? What to good for the rest of us just because you have a title amongst the weaker populace? Naruto sighed and turned his head towards the voice. No, Inuzuka-sama, but I feel it would be for the best if I were to do this on my own. Tsume glared at the boy's words. Oh, and why is that, brat? Tsume growled, making Naruto sigh. Fine, if you want to know, come in and we'll talk. With that, Naruto opened the door to his room and walked inside. As Naruto reached the other side of the room and leaned against the wall, Tsume noticed that the boy was standing right next to the window, making sure he wasn't trapped. Okay then, brat, go on ahead and tell me, why wouldn't a Junin be better for this job? Tsume said, sarcasm clearly showing in her voice. Naruto glared at the feral woman. You're right, a Junin would be better. However, because of the way you attack, you would also need Hana-san there, because your attacks aren't meant to attack a lot of people. My attacks are meant to take out a lot of people and cause a panic. The second reason is because while you are a Junin, you aren't certified to torture someone, and if I am to get Getu's bank accounts for this country, then I'll need to torture him. You could make all of us go, but that would be bad because we would leave Zabuza and Haku unguarded. You could send the genin only to take care of it, but let's be honest, I know you'll take offense to this, but Kiba isn't anywhere ready to take a life and Shino is still defenseless while I use my jutsu, so that idea's out. Naruto got cut off by Tsume saying. Or you and I could go. Letting Hana guard Zabuza and Haku and leaves the other two genin out of the way. Naruto glared at the smirk on Tsume's face. Yes, because I trust you oh so much. However, since you pull rank on me, I really don't get a choice in the matter, do I? Naruto said, making Tsume shake her head. Naruto sighed. So be it. Fine, I'm leaving in the morning. If you are coming with me, then be out front at dawn. If you aren't, then I'm leaving without you. Tsume glared at the boy's response but complied. Giving the boy another look, Tsume asked. Hey brat, how did you know that Zabuza would react like that? The question made Naruto raise an eyebrow. Does it matter? I got the info. Naruto responded, making Tsume growl. This isn't funny, brat. You just played the demon of the bloody mist like he was a fucking fiddle. How did you know how to do that? Naruto sighed and turned to look out the window. Like I said, Inuzuka-sama, this isn't my first time out of the village. It just so happens this also isn't the first time I've had a run-in with Zabuza. Naruto said, making Tsume raise an eyebrow. You mean you ran into Zabuza before? What the hell happened? Naruto chuckled at the feral woman's questioning. It was when I was still in training. Flashback. Naruto crouched hidden in the underbrush watching as Hayate fought with the bandaged man. Just as Hayate started pushing Zabuza back, Naruto heard a voice from behind him. Sir, there is another presence here. Naruto turned towards the voice to see a red and white fox with a smoke-like tail sitting behind him. The fox stood about the size of a golden retriever but was still completely silent when moving. Where is it located, Enmaku? Naruto asked, making the fox grin. About 15 yards to your left. It seems to be a young female. She does have the bandaged mons smell all over her, however. Enmaku explained, making Naruto's eyes widened. Has she been? Naruto asked, gaining a negative from the fox. No sir, it seems more of how you smell of the old man or of Hayate-san. Naruto nodded at that response. I see. Like a close friend, Enmaku, could you flush her out this way? Enmaku nodded at that and disappeared into the underbrush. Naruto waited patiently watching the fight as Enmaku did his part of the job. Naruto cursed as he saw his sickly sensei get caught in some type of strange water bubble. Naruto smirked however when he saw a black-haired little girl try and run past him. Grabbing her quickly, Naruto brought a kunai to the girl's throat. You make one sound and I'll end your life now. Do I make myself clear? Naruto whispered, making the girl nod. Naruto started doing one-handed hand signs and said, Kaden. Habashiran fire release. Jet flare. As Naruto said those words, a stream of left his mouth and shot towards the bandaged man. Zabuza saw the flames and moved his Kubikiri Haucho in front of him for protection. The last thing he expected, however, was for the flame to spin around his sword and hit him square in the face. Luckily, the fire technique didn't have enough chakra for it to hurt him. However, it did have enough to burn the bandages around his face as well as his eyebrows. Ripping the bandages off of his face, Zabuza stared at who would attack him, only to be surprised to see a small child that was 10 years old at max, standing there with a kunai at Haku's throat. Let my sensei go and I'll release the girl. If you don't, however, I'm going to slit the little bitch's throat. Naruto said, moving the kunai closer to the girl. Zabuza smirked at the kid. Go for it, kid, I don't even know the little brat. Zabuza said, making Naruto smirk. Oh really, she smells an awful lot like you for you not to know her, but if you insist on not knowing her then this shouldn't bother you. Naruto responded and drawing a small amount of blood from the girl's cheek. Zabuza released a small amount of ki, trying to scare the boy only for him to chuckle. Oh, getting angry. But I thought you didn't know the girl. Naruto said, making another slash on the girl's cheek. As he saw the boy draw more blood, Zabuza jumped. Breaking the water prison, Zabuza rushed at the blonde kid. Seeing this, Naruto threw Haku at the man and yelled, Kaden. Enden fire release. Flame bombs. Seeing the bombs, Zabuza grabbed Haku and curled his body around the girl. Flashback end. After I did that jutsu, I hit again and allowed Hayate to finish it up. However, I did remember that he was willing to protect the girl he was with. Naruto said, making Tsume give him a strange look. Whatever, brat. Like you said, we leave in the morning. With that, Tsume turned and walked out of the room. Lightly chuckling at her words, Naruto resumed looking out the window. So much for making friends, hey Gigi-san. Naruto thought and then gave a sad chuckle. Next morning, in front of Tazuna's house. Naruto sat in the branches of a tree that stood outside of Tazuna's house. Naruto watched the sun as it slowly peeked its way over the mountains on the small island. Naruto was broken out of its reverence by a gruff voice. So are we leaving or what? Naruto turned towards the voice to see Kuromaru and Tsume walking out of the house only wearing the minimum amount of battle gear. That depends who is watching the prisoners. Naruto asked, making Tsume glare. Hana is why. Tsume snapped, making Naruto smirk. Because I wouldn't trust your son not to think with his long enough to actually guard them. Naruto said while jumping out of the tree and landing on the ground beside the oldest Inuzuka. Tsume growled at the boy. What was that, brat? Tsume growled, making Naruto laugh. I said I could decapitate your son and him not lose conscious, thought Inuzuka-sama. Now then, as much as I would love to sit here and see you lose an argument, but seeing as we are on a schedule, I'm afraid that we'll have to wait. Naruto said and jumped into the tree line again on his way to Geitu's place. It took 20 minutes of running before the duo reached the other side of the island, and another 10 minutes to find where Geitu's hideout was. When Naruto saw the hideout, he couldn't help but sigh. It seems that Geitu has increased his amount of mercenaries since Zabuza's disappearance. Well, then we can do this two ways. One is that I could cover the entire hideout with smoke and take them out while they can't see, or the second and dumber option would be for us to charge in there like morons and just slaughter them. Naruto said, making Tsume smirk and jump into the clearing housing the hideout. Naruto sighed at the feral woman's actions. Option 2 it is. Naruto said and jumped into the fray. Naruto summoned his blades to him and jumped into the middle of bandits. With deadly precision, Naruto spun and hit critical points on each of the mercenaries. Looking over towards Tsume, Naruto sighed as he saw the smile on the woman's face. Shaking his head, Naruto started hand seals. We don't have time for this shit. Haijutsu. Kyuhitsu no Ryu, secret technique. Nine-headed dragon, Naruto said. Tsume smiled as she kicked off of another mercenary. As she turned to attack another, she gasped as she saw a sword coming towards her too fast to dodge. And Kuromaru's busy. Shit, this is going to hurt. Just as she thought that, a black streak seemed to shoot in front of her and take out the man with the sword. Turning towards the source, Tsume's eyes widened when she saw Naruto doing some strange type of dance while 9 dragons made of pure smoke flew around, taking out all the mercenaries that surrounded the estate. Once Naruto felt that there wasn't a threat anymore, Naruto spun and brought his hands together, pointing towards the wall of the estate. Tsume watched as all the dragons changed directions and all headed towards the wall that Naruto pointed towards. Tsume was even more surprised to see the hole that the dragons left behind and the fire that flared up behind them. Inuzuka, we don't have time to play around if we want this thing to go smoothly and escape before the fire reaches Geto. Let's go. Now, Naruto said and ran into the hole he created, Tsume hot on his heels. Naruto and Tsume fought their way through the mansion, taking out all of the mercenaries that they came across. Seeing as Zabuza didn't know where Geto was actually located, they had to throw open every door they had come across. As Naruto threw open the next door, all motion seemed to stop. Inside the room were about 20 women. Their cloths ripped and faces messy. Naruto took a small sniff and growled. Inuzuka-sama, get those women and get out of here now. Naruto growled out in a voice that would make the Shinigami piss himself. Tsume looked at the boy in confusion. What are you talking about? We haven't found Geto yet. I just can't leave. Naruto glared at the women when she said that. Trust me, Inuzuka-sama, you do not want to see what I am about to do to every mercenary in this fucking place. Get these women out of here and then wait for me out there. Tsume gave him another confused look but decided to trust the boy just this once. Fine, but you'd better be able to deliver, brat. Come on, Kuromaru. Tsume freed the women and busted a hole in the wall with her Gatsuga. As she loaded the last woman onto the back of Kuromaru, she turned towards Naruto to see him lifting his headband. You're using another technique that your eye possesses, aren't you? Am I going to have to carry you back to the clients? Naruto cocked his head, showing Tsume his blue chakra eye that was slowly starting to turn red, one swirl at a time. No, just don't stand in my way and expect a lot of blood. Now get out of here so that I can activate it. Tsume glared when she saw the red chakra in his eye but complied and left to guard the women. As Naruto saw Tsume leave, he turned forward to see a lot of the mercenaries gathered to stop them. Naruto smiled evilly at the small army. Good, you are here. Just makes killing you easier. At his final word, Naruto's usually blue chakra eye turned solid red. As the eye started to change, Naruto's hair grew wilder and grew claws on his hands. Unnoticed by everyone due to his mask, his whisker marks grew deeper and his canines grew longer and sharper. You have helped oppress an entire country. You have broken the hearts and wills of those people in this country. But most unforgivable of all, you have taken the innocence of those women. You think you have power in numbers. You think I'm trapped in here with you. But the truth is, you are trapped in here with me and no one can escape the phantom. As Naruto finished his speech, the final blue swirl in his eye changed red and he charged into the crowd. Blood and carnage flew everywhere as Naruto tore limbs from their owners' bodies. The sight was a massacre. The bodies of the mercenaries riddled the halls of the estate as Naruto tore through the halls in search of anything more to kill. Naruto tore through the mansion. All life was destroyed in his wake. When Naruto tore into Geto's office, his eye finally returned to being blue. Lowering his headband, Naruto glared at the fat man cowering behind his desk. Naruto walked over and pulled the fat man out by his throat and slammed him on top of his desk. Now then, you fat sack of shit. You and I are going to have a talk. Outside with Tsume. Tsume was on edge. It had been 30 minutes and everything was quiet. Damn it, I may not like the bastard, but Sarutobi will fucking kill me if I come back without him. Tsume said while pacing back and forth. I'll keep that in mind, Inuzuka-sama. Tsume whipped around towards the voice to see a blood-covered Naruto with a scroll in his hands. Tsume glared at the blonde-haired boy. You look like shit, brat. What happened? Tsume said, making Naruto glare at her. Not mine, and I've got everything the little shit owned, including his head. Naruto said, and then turned towards the girls that they found in Geitu's estate. Tell me, are you all civilians of this country? Seeing the girls nod, Naruto sighed. I'm so glad I showed no mercy on that bastard. Okay ladies, we're going to a village on the other side of the island, so while we are traveling, if you know the way back to your home and family, then Inuzuka-sama will send a clone to escort you back to them. The girls nodded, but one asked. Will you be sending a clone to escort us too? Naruto looked towards the girl and responded. I would, but I don't think you all would feel comfortable around men yet, so I was actually going to travel a little ahead of you all so as to avoid trouble. Seeing the women nod at that, Naruto turned towards Tsume and said. Like I said, I'll travel ahead of you all to avoid trouble. I'll see you back at the client's house, Inuzuka-sama. It took the duo 4 times as long to get back to Tazuna's house. As they approached the house, Tsume couldn't help but sigh and palm her face as a yell of, "Get the hell away from the prisoner Kiba!" reached her ears. Naruto chuckled as he heard the yell. As I said, Inuzuka-sama, I could decapitate your son and he wouldn't lose conscious thought. Naruto ducked the kunai the feral woman threw at him and chuckled. Walking inside, Naruto almost fell down laughing. There in the living room were Hana and Kiba head to head growling at each other. Shino stood off to the side leaning against a wall. Zabuza was in a corner trying to what looked to be hiding, and Haku was giggling at the entire situation. Tazuna and his family were smart enough to avoid this situation. Tazuna, get your old drunk in here. Naruto yelled into the house only to receive a small smack to the back of the head. Tazuna and his family came running into the living room only to be greeted with the sight of a bloody Naruto getting glared at by Tsume. Inari looked at all the blood covering Naruto and yelled. See, there is no beating Geitu, you all should quit before you all die. Naruto walked up and smacked the boy in the head, causing him to face plant into the ground. Wrong again, brat. Geitu's dead. I have his head if you want to see it. Naruto said, making Inari go wide-eyed and yelled. No, you're lying. Naruto looked at the small boy and unrolled the scroll that was in his hand. Pushing some chakra into the first seal, Naruto watched as all of the civilians turned green at the sight of Geitu's decapitated head. Naruto chuckled and put Geitu's head back into the scroll. As I said, Geitu's dead. Tazuna-san, I put 90% of Geitu's fortune in one bank account. This bank account is now this country's treasury. I'm leaving you in charge of it. Should I find out that you mistreat this privilege, then I'll be back to take your head. Do I make myself clear? Tazuna nodded his head at Naruto's threat and hugged the slip of paper that held the account number on it. Turning towards Zabuza, Naruto, I smiled. Well, Zabuza, looks like you weren't lying and you get to keep your head. Now then for the deal I'd like to make. Naruto dragged the same chair as before in front of Zabuza and held up the scroll he had been holding. In this scroll, Zabuza is 5% of Geitu's fortune as well as his head. This is yours as long as you and your apprentice leave my team and I alone. Now this is yours regardless of what you say to my next offer. Zabuza listened to what Naruto said and signaled the boy to continue. Zabuza, as much as you hate admitting it, you have come to feel for Haku as a daughter. That being said, I would like to offer you something that neither you nor her has ever really had, a home. I'm offering you a place in Konoha. You will be placed under 2 months of house arrest and then a 3-month probation period, and Haku will not have any of these problems due to not have any official ninja training. Remember, Zabuza, the 5% is yours whether you agree or not, so give some thought. Once he was done, Naruto stood up and turned away from Zabuza. Hey Phantom, can you really get us into the leaf? Naruto cocked his head back and looked at Zabuza. Yeah, no questions asked. Zabuza smiled at that. Then sign us up, brat. Naruto smirked under his mask. Good to have you, demon.